The SPLC is a nonprofit entity that purports to fight white supremacy and racial hatred by reporting on extremist groups and conducting research to inform law enforcement groups with the goal of dismantling these groups. The SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred.
Heil Hitler, baby.
In this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns and those who dig. Broadcasting from a Montana wilderness fortress at the headwaters of the Missouri, this is Matt Christiansen Live.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Matt Christiansen Live, a proud duct tape production for Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026. Thank you for tuning in. Sitting shotgun tonight. He has enough hair for both of us. Skulldugger is here. Welcome back.
Saddle up, partner. Howdy.
And he is Canadian, but we do allow it. Mark Aaron is here as well. Welcome back.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Thanks, sir.
Find Mark's X and YouTube accounts linked in the description, of course. In the news for discussion tonight, the Justice Department has indicted the Southern Poverty Law Center, just the entire thing, Southern Poverty Law Center, Inc., which I found kind of odd, and maybe so a lawyer can explain to me why there aren't individuals involved, as far as I understand. But anyway, that's beside the point. They have allegedly, according to the DOJ, been paying donor money to the hate groups that they're supposed to fight. They say it's for Fed-style infiltration so they can keep tabs on these hate groups, but this might be the greatest hoax hate of all time, exceeding even Jussie Smollett and the rest of the big names, because if true, this would be like a decade-long fraud scam on their donors. But from a business perspective, doesn't it make complete sense to use the money, at least some of it, to manufacture the hate that you need to go to the donors and say, I need more money?
Well, I mean, especially when the supply isn't there naturally, so you're going to have to get it from somewhere.
I wonder how they found these informant guys. Like, was there a job application process, or I just wonder how the connection is made. But
I just want to know why I didn't get any money. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that momentarily. Trump, meanwhile, extends the Iran ceasefire. It was supposed to expire sometime today. And then earlier today, Iran starts shooting more ships. So most of the fire is ceased, but not all of the fire is ceased. I guess now we're just going to wait until they're ready to talk. So we went from, we're going to destroy your whole civilization, or at least just your power plants and your bridges, to, okay, well, you guys get back to us when you have your things in order. I know it's a little more complicated than that, but I, as always, I cannot follow the shift in our strategy and the status of Iran on a day-to-day basis. So maybe you guys can help me make sense of it. Virginia voters narrowly approve a Democrat redistricting plan, which will likely eliminate 4 Republican congressional seats from that state's congressional delegation. The gerrymandering war is now on. We'll see if Republican states follow suit. Although if they want to do it for 2026, the clock is probably kind of ticking. But we might see years of this going forward. So this could get really interesting. Plus, we'll take calls, emails, text messages, and voicemails. If you'd like to call the show live, you can do that through the Discord server linked in the description. There are instructions and help available on the server. If you'd like to leave a voicemail or a text message for the show, the number is also in the description for you. Before we get into all of it, got to say hello to our featured listener-owned business for the evening. It's a new one. That's our friends at Knockout 2, Wrath of the Karen by Exceptional Games. In Knockout 2, Wrath of the Karen, you become an FBI agent, that's Bureau of Federal Boxing Investigations, and save humanity from Karenism. Something has corrupted the once good people of this great country, and it's spreading fast. In Knockout 2, it is your job to punch your way to finding the source. It is the funniest game you'll play all year. It's made by a crew of 3 in Spokane, Washington. Use the link below and add the game to your Steam wish list. Wishlisting is totally free, and it helps developers win the algorithm. So if you want to win the war against traditional media and ensure more based games hit the market, wishlisting Knockout 2 is a great way to show support. Knockout 2 just released, and it's loaded with features. A 3-part single-player campaign, daily missions, custom challenges, time trials, character customization, and loads of lore to collect for your investigation crazy board. There's even a free demo you can play right now. Find the wishlist link for Knockout 2 Wrath of the Karen in the description or at mattchristiansenmedia.com/deals. Find all the information on all our special offers at mattchristiansenmedia.com/deals. Deals by listeners for listeners. Okay, I actually have an update in an audience request that I didn't even tell you guys about earlier today. But are both of you, I know many in the audience are, not everybody, but are you guys familiar with the Chimona hoax hate from a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
Okay. Mark, did you catch that one?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so there's this guy. If anybody didn't see it, on Sunday, Matt P. and I did the Hoax Hate segment. This is about a guy named Jamal in Baltimore. And Jamal is a homosexual of color, and he ordered a pizza from Baco's Pizza outside Baltimore. And there's a guy speaking presumably Spanish, it sounds like, behind the counter who probably just doesn't understand Jamal. And based on the conversation they had, it sounds like that guy he wasn't understanding really anybody that day. The manager of the store said he hasn't spelled a single name correctly. Anyway, the confusion resulted in that Spanish-speaking employee putting the name Chimona on on Jamal's receipt as he posted on Instagram, Chimona. And Jamal insists that Chimona is this obscure Spanish slur, meaning either a loose woman or a female monkey. And somehow it's also an anti-gay slur. Maybe he interprets it to mean like gay monkey. I don't know. But he wants a GoFundMe payout, of course. Now, also recall listener Dave, who previously made those AI songs called My Knigga, honoring Eastern Michigan University linebacker. I think it's Eastern, or is it Central, Western? I can't remember. One of those Michigan schools where Noah Knigga goes. Made the My Knigga song. And there was an audience request for Dave to make a similar My Chimona variant. Could we get My Chimona songs? And Dave already delivered. He got right on it. Now, I have a sampling of the songs. The second verse in the songs recounts that exchange when Jamal arrived at the pizzeria to complain. So here's the first version.
Let me ask you, he hasn't spelled right all day. Chimona, me comprende español. Get the fuck out of my store. Chimona, never gonna stop or give up such a dirty mind. Always getting up for the touch of the manly kind. My Chimona.
Okay, so that's got kind of that 80s hair vibe. There is another variant with the same or very similar lyrics that's got a funkier vibe.
Let me ask you, he hasn't spelled right all day. Chimona. Me comprende español, get the fuck out of my store. Chimona. Never gonna stop or give up such a dirty mind. Always getting up for the touch of the manly kind. Oh my Chimona.
Okay, so which is your preferred version?
I got to go with the hair rock.
Really? Okay.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I guess it suits the character, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go number 2.
Not
literally.
All right. Well,
We'll see you in a little bit.
After
yeah.
the
All right.
show.
Take your time. I personally like that funk vibe a little bit better. It's a little more distinct, a little more fun, maybe. But I will mix both versions of the song into the Wednesday outro with the Mike and Knigga song as well. Of course, we thank listener Dave for his efforts. Again, if you're interested in making music like that, he does it on Suno, I guess. I don't know how he does it, but he does it quickly. And I'm impressed by the music that can actually create. And as a reminder, because I had a few people in the Discord server, hey, where do I get the full version of the Mike and Knigga songs, or now the My Chimona songs? They are available in the Sounders folder. In the description, I have a link to a public folder that has everything on my soundboard. Those two songs are in there. Just look under the M's for Mike and Knigga and My Chimona, and you can download them in full. And I don't think listener Dave wants a bunch of emails, but you can send listener Dave an email in spirit and say thank you, Dave, for your contribution to the joke and the show. All right. I guess I have to play the Hoax Hate intro. If this is really the greatest Hoax Hate of all time, the intro has to be awarded, correct?
And now
Correct,
the
yes.
nobody saw it happen, but it's totally a product of Trump's America hoax hate crime of the week.
Ah, shit, it's backwards. You think they'll notice?
I wonder how many backwards swastikas $3 million buys. Probably like 4 or something like that.
Not
It's
many.
not actually a very large number. Sorry, what were you saying, Mark? I didn't mean to jump
No,
over.
I said not many. No, they're pricey.
Yeah, I guess so. It sounds like it. These guys were making pretty good money. They might have been making better money than federal informants, to be honest. But yesterday afternoon, FBI Director Kash Patel and Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche held a press conference to announce that a grand jury has returned an 11-count indictment against the Southern Poverty Law Center, or the SPLC, in the Middle District of Alabama. The SPLC is based in Montgomery, Alabama, and of course, it's one of the country's foremost supposedly anti-hate charities. And again, these charges are against the business entity, SPLC, or Southern Poverty Law Center, Inc. The core of the allegations is that the SPLC has been using donor money to pay leaders or members in hate groups to stoke racial hatred. So again, the SPLC has their own explanation for this, which we'll get into, but it would appear like they were using donor money to keep a certain amount of hate alive, again, to use the premise of the hate to go and raise more money and sustain their business operation. But the total dollar figure, at least as it relates to this indictment, is about $3 million sent to at least 8 different people in various hate organizations over the last decade or so. It's something like 2014 to 2023 is about the window of this indictment. But here is Acting AG Blanche announcing the charges.
The SPLC is a nonprofit entity that purports to fight white supremacy and racial hatred by reporting on extremist groups and conducting research to inform law enforcement groups with the goal of dismantling these groups. As the indictment describes, the SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. One troubling example is that the SPLC was paying a member of the leadership group that planned the Unite the Right protest in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017 that resulted in the death of one person and injured dozens more. This particular person being paid by the SPLC allegedly received approximately $270,000 over the course of 8 years. In total, according to the indictment, between 2014 and 2023, SPLC paid at least $3 million to 8 individuals at least. These individuals were affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan, United Klans of America, National Socialist Movement, Aryan Nations Affiliated Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club, the Nationalist Socialist Party of America, Nazis, and the American Front.
Now, apparently in one case, one of the guys they were paying was actually personally listed on the extremist list on the SPLC's website.
Come on, man.
He's not named in the indictment. None of these guys are, but the description of him in the indictment fits the description of this guy, Paul Mullet. Apparently a neo-Nazi, though I assume he is one, I don't know, but whenever the SPLC calls someone a neo-Nazi, I have no idea. Like he might be just
I thought the whole thing with the SPLC is that they called a bunch of like totally normal people haters. Like this, I find it so hard to believe this isn't just a giant embezzlement scheme.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
wouldn't it be people we've heard? Like, I don't know, like who's
that
the
is
guy
well,
at like Charlottesville? What did they do? Like, where's the hate? What are these guys doing with the money? Like,
Charlottesville, as I want to get into, became very politically useful for especially Joe Biden, who launched his campaign on the Charlottesville premise. So even though Charlottesville is sort of a distant memory, when you look back, it was a very important moment for Democrats and others to use.
Yes.
Yeah, but just by bent of it having been organized, like wasn't that more because of unfortunate events that occurred due to the way it was policed, and they sort of sent,
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
I mean, from what I know, like, okay, a bunch of guys, like, what? Because I've been on the other side saying nothing happened for many years. It's not like they went around. I don't even know that
those are mutually exclusive.
Like,
well,
or something.
So from what I remember, the order of events was there was a little bit of a rally the day before. So there's two sort of events that were planned for the Unite the Right. There was a Unite the Right rally, and then the next day there was going to be a march. And they had already had they had all the permits and everything. Like it was a straight above board thing that didn't really have a whole lot of like white nationalist undertones to it. Mm-hmm. Then a specific group, I believe led by Richard Spencer, if I remember correctly, they're the ones who did the Tiki Torch March the night before.
Yeah, the whole thing was premised on the Robert E. Lee statue. And when Trump said very fine people, that's what it was about. People on either side of the Robert E. Lee statue debate.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's it. Like if I'm paying someone, what was the amount? Like $250,000. I wouldn't be like, hey, why don't you go march with some tiki torches? Like to me, that's like ridiculous.
But it's only
firebombing.
The proper evaluation isn't necessarily like what a person on the street thinks about Charlottesville now. It's how much money did the SPLC raise off of Charlottesville? It takes them, like if paying the Charlottesville organizer guy is an investment for them, $270,000 might be worthwhile if they generate $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. I don't know. But I would assume, again, if the allegations are true and they have a defense for it, that it was simply just a worthwhile financial exchange in that way. But
I suppose that just still seems to be like, if I was investing that kind of money, I wouldn't leave it up to chance that the march would go weird. Like as far as I'm aware, the stuff with Charlottesville, like I remember seeing the pictures of the Tiki Torch guys, but it was kind of like, okay, well, if that offends you, you're ridiculous. And then of course there was the unfortunate death of the young woman, but that was, that I wouldn't accuse anyone of having planned that.
And the part of the difficulty is we don't officially know who exactly they were paying. People have their suspicions about who was paid for Charlottesville, but we don't officially know yet. So we don't know exactly what their roles were, other than what's described in the indictment, which is this is a person who helped to organize the event and recruited others. But what exactly did they do that day? We don't necessarily know.
Yeah, and that's the only one. Like the other ones, like it was like the Nazi Party.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? And
I guess
American
that is
Front. Is that a thing?
I assume
why have I never heard of any of these things?
Well, because they exist. They hardly exist. They're propped up by like a small little piece of Southern Poverty Law Center money,
office somewhere,
and that's their entire budget for the year.
They only exist on the accounts payable sheet for the Southern Poverty Law Center. That's the only place they actually exist.
Yeah.
So let me go through the indictment in a little bit of detail. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but just to get into exactly what it is alleging. Oh, I have some great memes. This is exactly the Charlottesville situation. The guy driving the car paid for by SPLC, everybody running away.
Yeah.
I had no idea that Hulk Hogan once wrote the N-word on the. No, he's actually writing NW, whatever the wrestling NWO, NW, whatever. I just love that image. Who knew that Hulk Hogan was on the SPLC's payroll too?
Where's Ben Stiller?
To be fair, somebody else wrote the N. He's just adding the I.
Yeah, maybe that's right. Yeah, you can't prosecute him for that. Edward Norton in American History X, he was sponsored too, But okay, so we have the actual indictment here. It's about 14 pages. It's not very long, but the indictment says, actually, I don't even have these highlighted, so I don't really need all this text on the screen. But the indictment says that the SPLC has been doing this since the 80s. The SPLC had a network of informants who infiltrate hate groups at the SPLC's direction. But the DOJ is saying that the infiltration goes beyond just that, like spying. It's actually using donor money to pay the leaders and or members of these actual groups. It's not like they put a pair of glasses and a mustache on their staff member and say, "Hello, fellow Nazis, care to reveal your deepest secrets to me?" No, they actually paid people who were members of the group, is what the DOJ is alleging.
So they go find hateful people and then give them some money to be more hateful.
In one case,
correctly.
Outlined in the indictment, they actually paid a guy to steal a bunch of documents from some Nazi club, and then they paid him more to take the fault for it in court. So,
Jesus,
I guess they made it worthwhile. But some highlights. So the Charlottesville guy. Let me see if I can find just that one. We'll put that up here. The specifics of the Charlottesville guy, which is maybe the most high profile piece of this indictment. They say that this is a guy who led the online planning of the Unite the Right rally in 2017. So of course that's the Charlottesville rally that we're talking about. The guy attended the rally at the direction of the SPLC and made racist posts under SPLC supervision. What was the chain of command to evaluate if it was racist enough? SPLC also helped transport people to the event. SPLC, as we heard Todd Blanche say, paid this individual something like $270,000 from the 8 years of 2015 to 2023. There was a neo-Nazi who earned over $1 million from the SPLC during that decade, 2014 to 2023. So a six-figure income, I guess, annually for that entire 10 years. That's the guy they used to steal documents. I don't even know where it is in this wall of text. Sorry about that. But yeah, this guy they paid to steal documents from the Nazi club. He earned over $1 million from them. And then they also, they were paying an imperial wizard of the KKK. Those still exist, I guess.
Wow.
And he was on the payroll too. But it's not just who they were paying. It's the efforts they took to actually conceal the flow of money. So according to the SPLC, the charges are 11 counts overall. There's wire fraud for defrauding their donors with these false representations. Again, telling donors we fight hate while using the money to fund the hate is the accusation of the DOJ. There's also false statements to a federally insured bank because, according to the DOJ, they had all these shell companies. These are companies that don't have real business operations or real employees. They just were pass-throughs for money to go to all these hateful people to disguise the flow of money. So generally, people couldn't see that the money came straight from the SPLC. There's also a conspiracy to commit money laundering charge for trying to conceal the source of the and the nature of the money. Now, if convicted, the Southern Poverty Law Center would face the forfeiture of millions of dollars in potential fines. So it's financial penalties for a business entity, which kind of confuses me, but that's what we're looking at. And then I want to go through the defenses that the SPLC has. But do you guys have any thoughts on the charges or what they're actually accused of before I move on to that?
Well, I was reading through as much of the indictment as I could. I mean, it's all in, legalese. So, but it's very non-specific as to what a lot of there's some specific charges and claims, but then there's a lot of really non-specific language used, and so it's really kind of confusing, especially with nobody being actually named. Makes this really.
And those guys aren't accused of crimes. Those guys who were the informants. That's why they're not named. They're just, I was just relieved to see Commentator 6 wasn't in there, frankly. I didn't appear. So,
but this whole thing just kind of seems like it's almost like if your local fire department was sponsoring a group of electricians to go purposefully put faulty wiring in a bunch of houses and businesses.
Yeah.
So that they could then come and put the fires out.
Right.
But then there's the guy that they paid to steal the documents. Like, that's legit work, isn't it?
No,
I mean,
Spycraft.
they also paid him to take.
making up the documents. Like he was stealing them. So
He provided them with a thing of value on illegal terms, but they paid him to take the legal hit for the legal violation. It sounds like.
Yeah, that's very illegal. That's witness tampering. There's a lot of federal crimes here.
Yeah, but I'm saying that doesn't fit the other pattern where they're creating the boogeyman to go after. This is they actually sent him into a legit boogeyman to steal stuff and paid
let me
him
see if I can
for the theft. If I'm
find
following correctly,
that
like, this
exact
is the
story.
strangest.
Well, apparently they paid him for the theft and they paid him to take the fall for the theft.
Yeah. Now, first of all,
Okay,
I remember it said, okay, I think I found it. First of all, the DOJ, the hell with you for publishing a non-searchable PDF. First of all, like what century are we in? But I think this is the one. Okay, so let me read this. F9, so Informant 9, we don't know who he is, was affiliated with the neo-Nazi organization, the National Alliance. And he served as an informant for the SPLC for more than 20 years. Okay, between the decade of 14 to 23, they paid him more than $1 million. He entered the headquarters of a violent extremist group. They don't even name the group there. So to your point on generalities, that is kind of odd. Yeah. He stole 25 boxes of their documents. He coordinated payment for the copying of the materials with a high-level SPLC employee who had knowledge the documents had been stolen. The original stolen materials were returned. Okay, so it was a copy theft. Like he copied all the documents and put them back. And then
it's still theft. That's still treated as though it's still theft of intellectual property. So
and then it says the SPLC employee.
Wouldn't that depend on what's in the documents?
Not necessarily. Well, I mean, I guess if it's not, it doesn't necessarily matter if it's non-public information. So if none of this stuff has been disseminated by whatever organization this is, then they can claim that it's sensitive material,
like trade secret.
Yeah. In which case it's protected.
This is like
IP.
a copyright infringement kind of thing. You know, like is that it would be a technical case.
They stole the plans for the new swastika design. You know,
that's the thing
stuff.
It would be highly technical, which would be very dependent upon the specifics, which is what this indictment is.
And then that's like I want to dig into all this. Like, and then did the SPLC pursue legal action from that information that was obtained through paying a guy to steal it from like? And
it says that
without knowing what the organization was.
Yeah, without knowing what the organization is, we have no idea.
It says that they used the information, the SPLC used the information as the basis for a story published on their Hate Watch website, authored by this employee who oversaw the whole thing. And then another informant. Oh, okay. So I mixed that up a little bit. A different person, Informant 39. So Informant 9 is the guy who did the theft. Informant 39 was blamed for the theft and was paid approximately $6,000 by the SPLC to falsely take responsibility for the theft. But what that doesn't answer is, I assume that means legally, criminally, but it doesn't say that. Did he just issue a statement saying it was me? What does that mean?
And why not pay the guy who did it if you're paying people for
he got $1 million.
Weird.
Like who did he take the fall to? Like was he actually criminally charged? Was he
it doesn't say.
Was this a civil trial? Was this
and they only paid him $6,000, so whatever hit he took couldn't have been that big.
It couldn't have been criminal then, because that wouldn't
cover a lynching.
Yeah. That's what we'll find. They were paying people to get lynched. Okay. They were finding suicidal people who wanted to move on, and they were paying them to get lynched. All right. Okay. So let's talk about SPLC's defenses here, because the cover is already being run. And frankly, I actually want to be fair to these defenses, because we do have questions about the generalities in the indictment and the lack of specifics. Yes. So
especially from this DOJ and this FBI, who I no longer trust them at all for anything. So,
well, this morning USA Today ran the headline: "Key civil rights group indicted for paying informants, but the FBI does too." Feds pay them too. They've changed it. Yeah. So, well, come on. The FBI's been doing this forever. The FBI pays Nazis. What business does the FBI have investigating people for paying Nazis? Okay. The problem, though, and I'm sure that is true, the story talks about how the feds do this all the time. The problem, if you're critical of the SPLC, and in moral terms, I don't think this holds, but there is a difference between the SPLC telling donors we fight Nazis, but we also cut checks to Nazis, versus the government spending its investigative law enforcement money on investigating these groups. Now, when I say I don't know that there's a huge difference in moral terms, I say that because the government, of course, steals our money to do it. So it's not legally, I think it's different. Morally, maybe USA Today is not that far off, actually.
Right.
But the fact that the SPLC didn't, again, if what's accused of them is true, they didn't disclose that to donors is a problem. They also have the potential issue, if this is all like a normal tactic and a thing you do, why did they set up these shell companies, at least as the DOJ describes? Now, according to an expert quoted in USA Today, the shell companies are totally normal for the reason you'd expect someone to use shell companies. You wouldn't want the payments directly from the SPLC to be traced. But again, who's going to trace them other than law enforcement? Or maybe like could even can a sophisticated private investigator get access to your financial records in that way? Can they do that? Like without a warrant?
I would assume so. But even then, sorry to harp on this, tell me if I'm retarded or not. But like, because the DOJ is going after them for, if I'm understanding this correctly, misuse of donation funds.
Yes.
But paying someone, okay, the theft was wrong, but paying someone to go steal documents from Nazis so that you could publish an article about the Nazis, how is that misuse? Isn't that exactly what the donors want?
Well, it's misuse in the criminal sense, but I would agree that probably a lot of donors say, good job stealing the Nazi docs. Appreciate that.
Right,
Yeah.
or even paying the guy to go do I mean, I guess if like, it was, you know what I'm saying? Like, it depends on, we'd have to know who the people are they're charging and what their involvement was in the thing. Like, if the guy that they paid for the Charlottesville march was the progenitor of the entire thing, came up with the idea, put the whole march on, and he only did it with the money from the SPLC, then fine, that would fit the category that this indictment is claiming. But if it's just someone who's involved, then that is what they should be doing with the money. Like, I'm not understanding what the DOJ is after here. It seems as bizarre and suspect as what they're claiming.
It seems like it hinges on it's not just infiltration. It's that the money had to be used to pay the Nazis to propagate or perpetrate hate. And at least as far as the indictment describes, that appears to be a missing piece. Like, hey, they paid the Nazi guy, and then he went and spray painted a bunch of swastikas with his budget from the SPLC. That appears to be missing.
Right.
Even though Todd Blanche kind of said that at the podium. Yeah. But the indictment doesn't say that.
Those are key dominoes that need to be lined up if you're actually going to try to make a case against.
Because if they're just paying informants, I don't get unless there's a specific crime, I don't get the crime.
Right. If the accusation is that the hate organizations are using the funds that they're receiving from the SPLC, and therefore the hate crimes would not have happened if not for this funding.
Right, exactly. Yeah, if they're directly funding said action.
This indictment doesn't come anywhere close to making any of those statements.
Yeah.
It's just drawing like these tangential lines between them that say, hey, this is pretty weird.
Really, there's like really shoddy work going on either at the DOJ or at the SPLC or both.
Yeah, both.
It's both.
I wanted to talk a little bit more about Joe Biden in Charlottesville because, again, whether it was a whole op or whether it was authentic, it became very politically useful to him, and I think it's necessary to look back on that. Recall Joe Biden said
because they lied about it.
Well, they lied about what Trump had said.
Trump said there's very fine people.
Yeah,
right?
And it could be as simple as that, or maybe there's some kind of organization behind it. But it wasn't just that Joe Biden referenced it frequently, though he did. He said when he announced for president in 2019, Charlottesville is the reason I'm running.
Charlottesville is also home to a defining moment for this nation in the last few years. It was there on August of 2017 we saw Klansmen and white supremacists and neo-Nazis come out in the open, their crazed faces illuminated by torches, veins bulging and bearing the fangs of racism. And in that moment, I knew the threat to this nation was unlike any I had ever seen in my lifetime. That's why today I'm announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
And then, barely coherent, he said basically the same thing at the 2024 Democratic National Convention after he had already been ousted, but he still spoke, and he talked about the importance of Charlottesville.
I ran for president in 2020 because of what I saw in Charlottesville in August of 2017. Extremists coming out of the woods, carrying torches, their veins bulging from their necks, carrying Nazi swastikas.
Did they actually come out of the woods? I don't remember that part.
No, but the veins were bulging.
Okay. Did they have a camp out there? What was it?
They came out of like a hotel and marched into a park.
But if they, in the indictment, it said, okay, listen, the SPLC is paying people to show up to regular right-wing events with Nazi flags, that would be something.
Yeah.
Because that happens, and I'm sure that someone does pay them. That happened at the trucker protest in Canada. One Nazi flag, and the entire media used it to smear the entire protest as Nazis. Like, that would be something if the DOJ was actually trying to clean something up. Like, be specific and say this is what they're doing. But I didn't hear any of that.
Or if they found a whole bunch of receipts for tiki torches and khakis.
Right? Yes,
those have got to be in there
That would be
somewhere.
great. Yeah.
Now, last night, acting AG Todd Blanche, who announced these charges and is presumably working on the case, he actually said this investigation was open during the Biden administration and then was closed by them.
We know that this investigation was open during the Biden administration and then mysteriously closed. I really don't have any information about why it was closed. And then we started again last year. The FBI did, working with the U.S. Attorney in Alabama.
That was 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
Now, it could have been closed for political reasons, or it could have been closed, like you guys are talking about, because it was a crap case.
Right, because
that's also a possibility. But
I mean, part of me wants to be like, yay, he's doing something. I mean, he's been on the job for less than 3 weeks, and he's got this major case that he's announcing. But this ain't it, man.
Well, yeah, yes and no. I mean, I do appreciate the attempt. It's at this point with the DOJ, I feel like my 4.5-year-old colored a picture with crayons. We're putting that on the fridge. That indictment. Great job. We really appreciate it. And I do wonder. I know that Todd Blanche has said they've been working on this case for a year. Pam Bondi just left 3 weeks ago. Is any of this the Pam Bondi departure effect? I wonder if this was actually sitting on a desk ready to go. If Pam Bondi was still Attorney General, would this indictment have been secured through this grand jury? I don't know. I wonder if, even if this is a crap case that is not successful as a prosecution, I like that the attempt is made, and I hope that maybe more attempts will be made by this DOJ. Is that, you think it's all coincidence, or is there something to that?
I have no idea.
Yeah, hard to tell. Because I know that if this was happening under her, I'd be blaming her for it being shit. So
yeah,
well, Todd Blanche was just kind of her henchman for a while. So I don't know how much different he will actually be. Other than,
does he get the same desk? Or
I think that one was destroyed by the weight of all the Epstein files on it. It's no longer stable. Last thing I wanted to mention was this clip that was circulating from Gavin McInnes. Now, Gavin McInnes, of course, I don't know what his title with the Proud Boys even is anymore. I think it's just former. Like he was a former leader of the Proud Boys, and then he got in all that legal trouble, and so he had to disavow the Proud Boys. But this clip has been circulating thanks to Gavin himself way back in 2017 at the time of Charlottesville. Gavin was yelling at his, friend, associate, Jason Kessler, but Jason Kessler was an organizer or the organizer of the Charlottesville march, and many speculate that one of these informants is actually him, although we don't know that. And even back then, Gavin was yelling at this guy saying, "I don't trust you. I think that you're trying to recruit my guys into something shady."
I'm suspicious of you coming to Proud Boys meetings, saying you're not alt-right, telling me you're not alt-right, and I think you were there to try to recruit guys.
I never said I wasn't alt-right.
You did say exactly that to me on the phone. You told me you're not alt-right.
I have my own opinions, which are neither orthodox for alt-right or alt-light or anything else. I consider myself a pragmatist, but you could call me alt-right in the sense that I am an identitarian because I think that it's necessary.
Okay. So obviously that doesn't tell us a lot other than just the suspicions were there at the time.
Well, yeah. So the Proud Boys left so the Proud Boys were at the rally that happened the day before. Because like I said, this was a 2-day event. So there was the rally the day before, then there was the march the day after, and then the Tiki Torch thing happened the night in between the two events. The Proud Boys ditched after the Tiki Torch stunt because they got highly suspicious that there was that this event was not what it had been advertised as, and they were thinking that they were about to get trapped into being a part of something that they didn't want to be part of. So the Proud Boys were not at the march.
Okay. And so he had these suspicions about it leading up to it and after the fact too, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember him talking about it at the time. There was a few people who were like, yeah, like this thing glows.
But yeah, it was basically a hoodwink by the alt-right. The alt-right basically pulled a Uno reverse on everybody because it was supposed to be a unite the right. It was supposed to be, let's figure out where we all agree as far as what the right wing means, especially because, for the first time in a while, it looked like the right was getting some political momentum with Trump. And so they were trying to, that was sort of the presentation of how everybody was drawn to this event. But apparently, as it turns out, it was basically a alt-right hoodwink, and they were just trying to make it look like there was more people on board with alt-right and white nationalist ideologies than were actually in agreement. So,
yeah. Well, now we find out it was just an SPLC honeypot.
Yeah, exactly.
This was their honeypot?
It was a double hoodwink. It was a double hoodwink.
Yeah.
That's the worst honeypot I've ever seen.
They created the alt-right, and then they used the alt-right to smear the right.
Yeah.
It goes deep.
All right. Last thing I wanted to say about this this story, again, the fact that the SPLC, the organization, the incorporation, SPLC Inc., is the charged entity. They're making a giant fraud accusation, but there's no individual charged criminally with fraud. And I am not, it's not like I'm following every criminal fraud prosecution that's out there, but that seemed sort of odd to me that there's no individual who is charged for the commission of this fraud. And again, if SPLC, the entity, gets convicted, there are financial penalties in the form of they have to surrender all this money and they have to pay fines. But it doesn't sound like anybody faces prison time if the worst version of this story is true. I just don't understand how that could be. So if there are lawyers out there who know why the entity would be charged and not any individual,
that's one of the protections of incorporation.
But but if I
but what's the corporate structure? Like they're a private company. I'm assuming they're not like
they're a 501c3.
They have a CEO.
They're a 501c3 charitable organization.
But say weren't the guys at Enron like any kind of white collar crime, which this would be, weren't they individually charged or were they not?
So you can get individually charged, but that's if your actions are outside of the main line business.
Okay, maybe that's the distinction.
Then you can be charged.
Okay.
Personally, but if it's your entire corporation is fraudulent, which is what this seems the accusation is being levied, is the entire incorporation was involved in the fraudulent activity, then you don't have individuals going rogue. You have an entirely rogue organization.
Okay. Maybe that's the theory they're working with. That makes a little more sense. So I appreciate that. Okay. Want to get back into an Iran update.
Goody.
As usual in the last as usual in the last few weeks, I have no idea what is going on.
I don't know what Trump is doing.
Nobody has any idea.
It gets the people going. Nobody knows what it is. Okay. Last
we have a ceasefire. We have a blockade.
Right.
We have a war.
That's the thing. Half the time you talk about this, no, it doesn't count as a war. No, it doesn't count as a blockade. No, it doesn't count as a ceasefire. Whatever. Okay. Last we left the Iran watch on Sunday. Trump said, again, this was Friday. It seems like forever ago. Trump said Iran agreed to everything, and they're going to do everything we tell them. We don't have to sacrifice anything. And then Iran, by Saturday, closed the strait again anyway. And then we captured an Iranian ship right before the stream on Sunday. We, I mean the U.S. military. And then supposedly J.D. Vance was going to Pakistan for another round of these peace talks right up against the 2-week ceasefire deadline, which was supposed to be last night, today, whatever. Then Iran said, no, we're not coming to the talks. Don't want to. Don't like your blockade. Too bad. So J.D. Vance never went. He stayed home. Then Trump, in the midst of all this, actually, leading up to the deadline, Trump said, I'm going to bomb all your bridges and all your power plants if you don't make a deal before the deadline. And then Iran conceded nothing and didn't show up to the negotiations. And then yesterday, Trump extended the ceasefire anyway. And so once again, we have Trump threatening to delete them from existence or something like that, and then just backing off and not doing it. He posted this Truth Social yesterday afternoon. Trump said that because the government of Iran is seriously fractured, now the ceasefire will extend until they come back with a unified proposal. Until then,
What?
the Iranian ports will remain blocked by the U.S. Navy, he says. So now, not only has Trump bluffed several times about what he's going to do to Iran, and they appear to be calling his bluffs and saying, yeah, we dare you, pussy, you won't. And then he doesn't. And then Iran concedes nothing. And then I guess our latest stance is, okay, well, how about you control the terms of the negotiation now? How about that? Mm-hmm. I don't understand what's going on here at all. According to CNN's reporting, Trump's top aides believe the reason Iran ignored the deadline, again, that was supposed to be today. Well, no, they ignored the deadline because of all the fractures in their government. Half their people are dead. That is true. All right. That has been an effect of all of this. So I'm sure that people are missing. I'm sure there's disagreement among the people who are running the country. But there is another plausible explanation for why they wouldn't meet the deadline. We sat around waiting for them to call forever, and they never called. Must be because they're so fractured. Alternatively, they know that every time you say you're going to blow them up, you don't. So who gives a shit? He keeps saying stuff and not doing it, so who cares? We don't have to do anything. And then you do it again. So I don't buy this theory of fractured Iranian government.
Wasn't the whole point of the bombing to fracture their government?
Yeah.
And then turning around saying, well, they're so disorganized, we have to put them in charge?
I guess, yeah. And that's the part. I don't understand how you go from we will delete your whole civilization to, hey, I know things are tough for you. Like, give me a text or a call when you're ready. Take your time.
take the weekend off.
I don't want to intrude.
Get some sun. What is it? And what does it even like? Because I stopped paying attention because it's just too frustrating. Like, what does it mean when they say that Iran again closed the Strait of Hormuz? Like, are they coming out and making an official statement? And then is there like a drawbridge? Like, what?
They
what
just
they,
do it and they start
mean?
shooting. They have their little gunboats. Yeah, they shoot their gunboats at people, and they're capturing ships now.
Well, they also have surface to sea missiles. Like on the actual land. So
and supposedly mines.
But that they're using, like, is that how we know they closed it? Because they shot a surface to sea missile, or is this just all bluster as well? Like, what's the actual actionable statements that are coming from the Iranians?
So they do fire at. So they fire at ships that are not supposed to be, according to them, not supposed to be using the strait. And then they also have the Houthis on the other side of the strait that they can activate basically at any time to also fire.
It's the Houthis. I want to pronounce it correctly.
The Houthis, yeah.
And the blowfish prefer the proper pronunciation too.
I was going to say blowfish. Because what I heard, like, there was one.
I don't care if I disrespect them by mispronouncing their name. I'll just go call them
on purpose.
The Pussies. I don't care.
Oh, they're going to get you now. We have to get the Houthis before they come here and get us. Okay. The only way, if I try to frame something positively about how we're handling this situation over the last week or so, if you believe that Iran is fractured and that their economic reality will force them to the table soon, that's about it. Trump is saying, well, Iran is collapsing financially, so the closure of the strait and the blockade on their ports is going to force them to make a deal. The problem with that, though, is they keep voluntarily closing the strait themselves. And I know they're losing a bunch of money by doing this, but so far it doesn't appear that they give a crap about the money that they're losing. Eventually, reality. Maybe have we looked at the SPLC and seen if the shell companies are funding Iran? Maybe that's the missing link here. But to your point on the ceasefire, the other problem is that Iran is not honoring the ceasefire either. It's not just that they're showing up at the table to talk when Trump commands them to talk. They don't appear to give a crap about this ceasefire. Iran fired on 3 ships and seized 2 today. Now, they're not seizing U.S. ships, of course, but if the premise is that the strait is open for everybody except Iran, their ports are blocked and the U.S. Navy is going to allow traffic for everybody else, Iran straight up seized 2 ships earlier today or yesterday within the last 24 hours or so. One of them was a Panama flagged cargo ship. The other is a Liberian flagged cargo ship. And the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps says the ships were operating without required permits according to them. So I thought that their talk of closing the strait was all bullshit, and it didn't really. I thought the mines were cardboard, and I still think they are. But when they say that we can just close down the strait, it's like, well, make them prove that. Now they kind of are. Right. Now they're shooting at people. Now they're taking ships.
Okay, because before this, I'd heard that they made one ship turn around, but it was a ship that had just bought oil from them.
Yeah,
so
they shot at that Indian ship
sense.
Too. Yeah,
but now
that was
they are seizing. Like,
not that it's funny. It shouldn't be funny. I wish I had the tape. There's a recording of the Indian Captain Phillips on that ship calling him, "What are you doing? I just bought this oil. You said it was fine." It's like a poo screaming at them. And I know that it's like a life and death situation for him, maybe. So I felt bad about laughing, but it's
still funny.
That boat driver, that ship captain, he has a California commercial driver's license. Actually, that's how he's able to move his ship through the Strait of Hormuz.
And I've seen way too many videos on X of Indians just dying in ridiculous ways to not laugh when I hear their lives in danger.
Well, a lot of people are kind of confused as sort of what's going on with the geography of these bodies of water. So U.S. ships have not entered into the Strait of Hormuz throughout this entire conflict.
It's not actually a strait. It's not actually a war either. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. Where are they technically? What is their
They're
location?
in the Gulf of Oman.
Okay.
Which is just east of the strait. So essentially, Iran's navy basically has all of the strait and all of the Persian Gulf to operate in, and essentially potentially have control over it, depending on who's there to oppose them. You have to understand, nobody else in the area really has a naval force. They're the only ones that have.
Not even Saudi Arabia?
No.
Really? That surprises me.
Saudi Arabia is the greatest paper tiger on the face of the planet. They have absolutely no. All of their influence is financial. They have absolutely no. They have no way of defending themselves other than making rich friends. And making friends rich. Like that's really their biggest
Didn't they buy some jets? Like, don't they have some Air Force?
I mean, everybody's got an Air Force over there, but
Navy is a different thing. You need infrastructure for a Navy.
Nobody has a Navy. Iran is the only one in that area that has a Navy. Iraq tried to have themselves a Navy, but they barely have any coastline. That's one of the reasons why they were invading Kuwait in the first place. Was they were trying to get more access to the water. So it's just the countries that have access to the water don't have money. And the countries that have money and access to the water, they don't care. They're not.
And is Iran's Navy strong enough to pose a threat to the U.S.? Like, this is what I don't like. Why are we pussyfooting around?
A strong enough threat that they could sink a boat, and that's one of the things that I guess, like, if
we can't have that in a non-war.
Yeah,
it would be humiliating for the U.S. to have that happen, though. I mean, that would be
not if they went in and took over.
I think that's the equation right now, is that it's entering the strait is not worth losing even a single boat.
Well, as far as where we stand now to move on, and I want to leave enough time to cover Virginia quickly too, but the U.S. supposedly has the strait closed to traffic to the Iranian ports, although maybe there's some exceptions, who knows. Iran effectively has, Whether they have the strait actually closed or not, they have people believing the strait is closed because they'll shoot at them if they try to go through it, as they've demonstrated. So they have it effectively closed in that way. So really nobody's moving through in any meaningful way. You have a few ships here and there still. But the bigger problem, well, I don't know if it's bigger, but at least before, when the deadlines theoretically had some teeth, you could see movement. Now, I don't even understand, because the strait is effectively shut down, and we're telling the Iranians, you decide when you want to talk. And so everything is just on indefinite terms now. I do not get what we're doing or what the plan is here, and I hope that a good plan comes out soon. But that's where we're standing.
I tell myself that there's actually some really smart, genius thing going on in the background, in the secret, and that's...
I think this is zero D chess right now. There's not a single dimension.
Someone somewhere, someone that's supposed to be taking care of shit is taking care of it, right?
If there is any plan to be trusted here, I am missing it. So, all right, I want to talk about Virginia, because of course there was an election in Virginia last night, and voters in Virginia narrowly passed a referendum to, I guess this was a constitutional amendment. I don't know exactly what Virginia's system is. If you guys do, chime in. But can they amend their constitution by a simple majority vote? Is that what happened here, or am I misunderstanding? Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Whatever.
Was it simple majority, or actually, I think that's what we just did in California. I think it was simple majority.
It was, because it was a very close. It was a very close vote.
It passed with no competition.
This referendum in Virginia passed yesterday, 51.5% to 48.5%, so 3% margin. What that means is
it
that
doesn't seem like you should be able to amend your constitution on a simple majority.
That's why I'm a little bit confused, but. The practical effect is that Virginia's 11 congressional districts are going to be reorganized in favor of Democrats. So the new map is likely to shift Virginia's 11 to shift these districts in a way that is going to greatly benefit Democrats. So the current distribution, or the current seats, are 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans. It is expected, or there's a high likelihood, that after the midterms, Virginia's delegation will be 10 Democrats, 1 Republican, as in +4 Democrat seats, -4 Republican seats. And that, of course, will have big implications for the midterms, assuming the plan isn't scrapped in the courts. There are legal challenges. We'll see if that plays out. But Democrats made this move, they say, in response to Republican redistricting in Texas and Missouri and North Carolina last year. So it's very, very bad when Republicans do it, but it is good, or at least necessary, when Democrats do it. Here is the House Democrat leader, Hakeem Jeffries, saying as much.
It was important for Democrats to push back aggressively across the country to stop Donald Trump's gerrymandering scheme, which was designed to rig the midterm elections. They thought we were going to step back, but we've made clear that we will fight back.
There will be many who complain that gerrymandering is gerrymandering is gerrymandering. Is that fair in Virginia?
Well, this is a temporary measure that was a response to Donald Trump's efforts to rig the midterm elections. We needed to stop the MAGA power grab.
We will fight hard. How is it temporary?
What he means by temporary is that under Virginia law, they do their redistricting every 10 years. This is the constitutional amendment angle, is that this was a special move to do the redistricting mid-decade. So what he means by temporary is we're going to do this, we're going to revisit it, or Virginia will revisit it again in 2030, as they would ordinarily be scheduled to do. But you think Democrats are, well, that's enough of that Democrat rule, if they're still in power in the state. No, there's nothing temporary about it. If they maintain power in that state, the congressional map for them will remain the same.
Mm-hmm. That's the same thing that had just happened in California. The only way to beat it in California is through demographics. You'd actually the Republicans would actually have to get strategic in how they move and divide themselves up across the state in order to get the seats back. It's not It's not
Yeah.
temporary. It's permanent.
Well, when Jeffrey says it's temporary, it's no more temporary than any other state's districting plan, because of course those get updated over time.
Any other government program.
Right, like it's going to change depending on the population, depending on the fact who's in power in that state. So it's not like this is just for a year to try it out and then it automatically defaults back or something.
Yeah, no.
So Jeffries also is saying, this is different in Virginia. In that interview, he said, well, this is not like what Republicans are doing in Texas and these other states, because those states did it through their legislatures and we did it by going to the voters. Well, what the hell difference does that make? If Virginia voted to bring back slavery, well, they went to the voters. No. Also, wouldn't that logic just invalidate the legitimacy? The legislature exists to represent the people and create the laws of the state.
Correct.
Why are they illegitimate in doing that as with regard to congressional delegations? It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
I guess because then it's not. Then it's something that has a national impact and not just in state. I guess I don't know.
He also fair to point out that there is a difference of degree in that Democrats are redistricting in Virginia to an insane degree. Virginia, of course, is a closely contested purple state. They are making or have made their congressional districts 10-1 Democrat. Texas is not as closely contested. It's not a purple state. It's a red state. They have a lot of districts. I forget how many members of Congress they have. They have shifted their distribution maybe a couple seats. So Virginia is to a much more extreme degree. But now we're going to get into this kind of redistricting war.
At this point, you just have to have every state do it. Let's just.
Well, that's the thing.
Let's just end the pretense right now. Just have everybody redistrict and both parties maximize their seats, and then we'll figure out where we are at after that.
And it sounds like Republicans probably have an advantage in that. Now, Florida, they're talking about doing it. Yeah. They're calling a special session. Florida has a constitutional provision that might obstruct them because you can't actually draw these districts to favor or disfavor a political party or incumbent under their law. So we'll see if they can get through that. But as it stands right now, even though Virginia was something of a disaster in this regard, according to CNN's accounting, if you look at all the redistricting that's been done, it's actually a +1 Democrat advantage from the map before, at least as it's expected that these districts will go. So it's not a major advantage for Democrats, at least not yet. And the other thing is, if you were to get into that redistricting war that you're talking about, Republicans control those levers of power more than Democrats do. Republicans have more redistricting control as far as all the states are concerned. And I believe control over more seats, though don't quote me on that. I haven't seen the total accounting. But I think if everybody committed to the war and actually followed through, Republicans would have the advantage, it sounds like. It's just, will they do it?
Probably. I don't know enough about how any of this works to have a comment. What's the pro? Like, do they have to decide? I don't know. It's completely foreign.
Different. Well, literally foreign. Yeah.
Literally.
Different states have different rules for how it has to be done too. So,
and then it's like, this is just another type of party politics, but they threw it to the voters to decide whether or not they were allowed to.
Probably because of not all states have referendums for voters in that way either. Mm-hmm. So they, maybe for strategic reasons, I don't know what the legislature's makeup in Virginia is, or maybe because it's the only way to do it in Virginia. I don't know. But
what does that even mean when you say that one of the parties has more power with redistricting? Like, as far as my knowledge of redistricting is that you're basically changing the lines on the map of where the voting districts are, right?
What I mean is that Republicans are in control of the legislatures in the states. They have more control over more seats, okay, as far as the power distribution across the states to actually change these districts. So if
whatever party is in power with the seats can redraw the maps to their satisfaction, or what's the...
Yeah, although there's generally been there are some laws against, as Florida has, against being completely partisan in your design, like drawing ridiculous shapes that clearly make a district...
Like Florida, yeah.
Well, I mean, make it look like that. There are some rules that have been agreed to. There's also sort of a gentleman's agreement among the parties. Like, hey man, like let's not do this insanely. We used to have a tradition in this country of a respect for minority rights. We're quickly losing that, unfortunately. So I don't think the Democrat characterization. I don't love gerrymandering, and I don't love any state like California. Or if there was name your red state that's on the other side of it, where California has the most conservative voters of any state, maybe outside of Texas, maybe they have more. Yet the governor and their legislature tries to box all those people out. I don't love that.
Right.
But if Democrats insist on the moves they're making in Virginia, which is not a proportionate response to what's been going on in the other states, it's clearly a power grab. Yeah, make them regret it. I don't. It sucks on principle. I wish we didn't have our country operating this way. But Democrats have been power rabid for years and decades.
Only since the 20s.
Oh yeah, I guess they were a little more reasonable before that. But anyway, we're past the hour, a little bit late actually. So I will shut the hell up about this. If you guys have other thoughts on it, go ahead. But otherwise, we'll move into calls.
No, I hate democracy.
No, fair enough.
I wasn't a fan when Texas did it. I wasn't a fan when California retaliated. I'm not a fan of any of this.
All right. Well, we will get to calls momentarily. Before that, hey, have you considered joining the MC Club? Well, you should. And here's why. Hey, if you enjoy the show, please consider supporting the show by becoming a member of the MC Club. For as little as $1 a month, you will enjoy a series of exclusive perks, including ad-free videos and podcasts, video calls, and a community Discord server with me and other listeners, loot box giveaways with channel merchandise, your name in the credit roll after videos and streams, and much more. But most importantly, you will help keep the Duct Tape production alive and independent from all those sinister forces of control. Join the MC Club at mattchristiansenmedia.com/support. Linked in the description. Okay, gentlemen, remember to unmute yourselves in the Discord server. And let's talk to Vong. Vong, are you there?
Hey, Matt, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. Doing well. So a bit of a somewhat different question for you guys tonight. Do you guys have any thought? Do you guys believe that that peace between, shall we say, Christendom and the Mohammedans is possible, so to speak, without, so to speak, Christendom being very clearly putting its boot on the neck and saying, "No, you will do what we say."
No.
I feel unqualified to answer this question, but based on my observation of the world, I would say no. I think that will Christians tolerate the Islamic world? Yes. Am I confident the Islamic world will tolerate Christianity? No.
Yeah, I'm of generally the same mind as Mark and Skulldugger here, and a lot of it honestly comes down to the things I've learned about the specific tenets of their faith, so to speak, the Mohammedans, that is, and the things that they believe. And it just makes it essentially, at least in my mind, it makes peace with them in a militarily, I mean, even somewhat decent position seem to be impossible.
What's your definition of peace? As in, do you mean within our country, or do you mean like can say the Islamic world and the West exist on the same globe peacefully?
That is a very good question, actually, for multiple reasons. Generally, it kind of both, frankly. And a lot of it comes down to this actually gets into some of their beliefs, which there's a term in Arabic, I don't remember the exact term, but you'll often hear this specific term translated as peace, whereas from what I've learned from people who were born into Mohammedan families and such and later converted, it would be more properly translated as something like tactical armistice, or, essentially laying down your arms when you know you can't win, while waiting to pick them back up again when your opponent least expects it. Yes, exactly. Where they translate it as peace as a way to get you to let your guard down, which is actually a part of their own doctrines, where they explicitly endorse deceit and lying to those who are not all other Mohammedans for the reasons of advancing their own faith.
Well, thank you for the thoughts. I'm going to try to do better with my clock discipline. So I appreciate your call. We'll talk about it a little bit more once I let you go. All right.
Sounds good.
Thanks,
care,
man. Have a great night.
Thanks.
Yep.
You guys have more thoughts on that one?
Mr. Skull?
I mean, the theoretical endpoint of Islam would be a global caliphate. And given that is their end goal, and the way that they are prescribed to reach said end goal is through holy war, I don't see peaceful coexistence with a ideology and theology that prescribes war, conquering war. As I don't understand how those two puzzle pieces can fit even in the same puzzle, let alone connected to one another. So
yeah, I mean, I see it as the Islamists. The reason Islamists and leftists get along so well is because they're very much alike in that they are both completely totalitarian, and I think even calling
that
it
is the link.
Calling it a faith is a misnomer because it is a totalizing political. It's in everything, everything. And the only way you can have peace with it is when it has been crushed and destroyed, just like leftism. And that's why
now
we need to do that.
In ways, I respect that authenticity, if you will. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to live in the Islamic world. I don't want to live under Islamic law, all of that. But what I mean is the concept of separation of church and state has become so exaggerated, misunderstood, made ridiculous in our country and the rest of the West. And even just without thinking of your government representatives, think of your own political philosophy and your religious philosophy. It doesn't make any, to the extent that your religious philosophy is your moral core, your politics must be an extension of that for you to have any sense whatsoever. You would never say, well, according to my religious tenets, X, Y, and Z, but on the principle of separation of church and state or something, I vote totally contrary to that.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. Secularism is a byproduct of Christianity. It doesn't exist within Islam or leftism. And it's the same with tolerance, right? So it's the how you're gonna let in something that what's the saying that they'll use your values against you when you're in power, but when they're in power they'll do what they want because that's their values.
So there is a growing. So it's in Turkey, for example. Turkey, they don't punish. They are a Muslim government. They are a Muslim country, but apostasy is not punishable by death popularly in Turkey.
Okay.
So you actually do have a rise of secular Muslims in Turkey, but it's to your point, it's very much only seen in a place like Turkey where the death penalty for leaving the faith has been relaxed.
Coincidentally, I have a Turkey story coming up later. An emailer sent us a Turkey story.
All right.
So we'll get to that.
Sorry, Skull. Just, but would you say that is following the tenets of Islam, or is that a drift away from being Islamic?
Islam does prescribe that the punishment for apostasy is death. So,
right.
All right. Let's talk to Turles. Turles, are you there? Turles.
Hello there.
There we go.
How are you guys doing?
My man.
Well, what's on your mind?
Hey, well, every week I tell myself, I'm not going to talk about Iran every stinking week. I'm going to talk about something else. And then you guys suck me right back in. So
okay. Well, you are a great salesman of hope and positivity and if not trusting the plan, understanding it. And I have felt crazy about this for weeks. This week I feel particularly crazy. I don't get it at all. So if you're going in that direction, explain it to me.
Yeah, understandable. And it makes a lot of sense. In some ways, I kind of put this, I just put this meme that you guys reminded me of in the member Discord. It's just Trump Zoo over here saying I might do it, I might not do it, I might have already done it. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
So in some ways the confusion is kind of the point. I do
Okay.
think Trump likes the chaos because it keeps everybody guessing. That is, of course, just as frustrating for those of us who are like, well, what about us? We don't get it either. But there are a couple of possibilities I thought I would just briefly mention. You guys already talked about how the blockade is hurting Iran financially. It's costing them something. I heard estimates of around 400 million a day or something. Something crazy. It's a lot. And so this does impact their ability to actually perform military operations and even just, governmental operations in the future. If they continued this long enough, their system of government would start to look more like Afghanistan's than, an actual sophisticated country of 90 million people. So here's the problem with that, of course, as I've seen some people on the right say, well, the problem is radical Islamists don't care. They don't mind the idea of descending into a kind of Afghanistan-like, theocratic hellhole. That they're totally fine with that because of their and that incidentally is why our stance has always been that they can't have nuclear weapons, because they don't really behave rationally. They don't operate in a way, that makes sense to us.
Sorry, there's a cat tail taking over the screen. That's why we're laughing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're not laughing at you, although your thoughts are prepreposterous. We're trying to make sense of this.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I tried.
No, I'm just kidding. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, and so anyway, that's a good reminder, I think, for people. It's like, hey, listen, we know they're crazy, they're nuts, they don't really operate according to the same rules. Yeah. There was a suggestion that right now the Bush carrier group is moving into position, so we might be seeing a repeat of the beginning of the operation where we kind of kept hemming and hawing and say, yeah, we're negotiating, we're doing all this stuff.
Oh, so maybe we need time, and this is cover for that. Okay,
maybe we're actually just positioning assets. And
okay.
In a way, that's why Trump acts like he doesn't care. He's just like, it almost doesn't matter what they're doing.
I don't know if we need to move a destroyer from point A to point B on the globe. Let's say that it's, I don't know. Let's say we needed to move one from our Atlantic shore over to the Gulf or over to the Strait or whatever. How long would that take? I have no idea.
I'm not an expert on those kinds of naval timetables, unfortunately. So I'm not sure. It always seems to me that it takes longer than I thought it would, but yeah, it's
all right. You have a book thought before I let you go?
Oh yeah, kind of an important one this week. Did you hear about? I don't think you guys talked about this. Did you hear about the Camp of the Saints controversy?
No.
Yeah. So mid-April, Amazon. There's a small-time publisher of the book that publishes the paperback. They're called Vauban Books. So they published the paperback, and Matt Walsh a few weeks ago mentioned the book on his podcast, and they saw a sudden surge in sales, and they were pretty happy about it, like he said on his podcast, and so the Amazon all of a sudden yanked the book from their listings and said that it violated some kind of a harmful content policy.
What is this? This is not a political book. What is it? Just a fiction book or something?
Okay, yeah. If for those not aware, Camp of the Saints is a somewhat controversial book that was written in 1973. It was written by a Frenchman named Jean Raspail. The book is a kind of dystopian novel, and unlike other dystopian novels that primarily focus on the misdeeds of the government, this particular dystopian novel focuses on unchecked mass illegal immigration.
Okay.
And so it kicks off with kind of this scene where a bunch of migrants are coming from India, and they're bringing, all this disease and crime and everything to the shores of Europe.
It became hateful the second that Matt Walsh appreciated it, is what you're saying.
Well, actually, no, it's always been kind of deemed unacceptable and within the Overton window that our elite masters, what they set for us. Now, you can say what you want about the content of the book, but as some people pointed out, it's like Mein Kampf has never been pulled, but for some reason, Camp of the Saints gets this treatment.
Yeah,
now
well,
Go ahead.
Sorry, just like I don't know if I heard someone else typing. There's a really famous quote that's going all over Twitter right now from the book, which is because it deals a lot with immigration, right? And it says, "Your universe has no meaning to them. They will not try to understand. They will be tired. They will be cold, and they will make a fire out of your beautiful oak door." And
Right.
it's passages like that that have made it popular and also dangerous to the people who want the death of Western civilization.
Right.
So
in response to a huge backlash and accusations of censorship, Amazon restored the listing. So it is back up as far as I know at this moment. So if you want to read something sort of controversial and that unlike other books that the left claims, they're always talking about book bans in schools and stuff, Camp of the Saints is considered a fairly controversial book that most bookstores probably don't carry. So if you're in the mood for some spicy reading.
All right. Thank you for the call. Appreciate it.
Talk to you later.
Okay. Any other thoughts on the Camp of the Saints or the Iran plan trusting?
Well, I mean, it's really hard to criticize the plan if nobody knows or understands the plan.
Right.
You've cracked the code now. That's the 4D chess. All right. Fuen is up. Fuen, are you there?
Yeah, hello.
What's on your mind, sir?
A quick Google showed like 1 to 2 weeks for moving from the U.S. Atlantic coast to the Gulf. I'll start with that.
Thank you.
I'd also second recommending Camp of the Saints if it's back up on Amazon from this publisher. Support that small publisher who's going out risking their neck by putting this in publication. But if not, it is available on Internet Archive.
And have you read it?
Just like passages. I haven't sat to read the whole thing, but yeah, often cited. Definitely one that was ahead of its time, and even like the bit that Mark had quoted about the door, like not understanding the beauty of the door. Yeah, it's like it makes some really good points. It's like good speculative fiction.
Yeah, it's up there with the Rivers of Blood speech. The author of which his name escapes me now, but I saw it a lot. If you saw the clip of that migrant tearing down the
the wall,
3,000-year-old brick wall in rural England, is a perfect quote for that.
Is this recent? I don't know what that is. I hadn't seen that.
Oh yeah, it was like, for all I know, it was part of Hadrian's Wall, and some migrant was just ripping the stones out of it because it was there.
He said he needed to get past the wall.
Yeah, he's trying to get to the other side. Why did the migrant rip down the 3,000-year-old
It's like a 4-foot
wall?
He could have just jumped it. Crazy.
There are memes galore.
Yeah, I
I'll
missed
share
that.
that in the
I'll have to look that
members
up.
Discord. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm a Virginian. I'm actually not far
Okay.
from Charlottesville either, not to make it too close, but that's actually, I guess this almost like fear of doxing is one of the things I'd like to hit. I think like the method and like the playbook of infiltrating or like supporting the more extreme movement is a playbook that we've run in like counterinsurgency for quite a while, especially abroad. And yeah, I think we probably are also doing it here. I think that when things like this happen, like especially around here, not far from Charlottesville, getting people who are right of center to meet in person for any kind of political organization that's not like the local GOP, it can be kind of tough because people are just like super skittish because they think something's going to happen that, got revamped all over again with January 6th. So I would just encourage people to, don't be too paranoid about it. Obviously, if people are really being suspect, then, distance yourself from that. But for the most part, like, I don't know, like, don't be discouraged and be like afraid to meet in person because of events like this. I think that's exactly what they would be to discourage real life meeting and community.
Yeah, someone shows up with a Nazi flag and an SPLC sweater.
There's your literal red flag. Yeah.
No.
All right. Thank you for the call, man, and all the best to your state. I know things are getting rough out there.
On the Virginia amendment, it's just
Yeah.
it has to pass legislation twice in a row, and then
Okay.
it goes to a referendum with the voters. So the
Oh,
first
okay,
time
so
they
it's-
passed it was late 2025.
Got it. So that the constitutional amendment requires legislative and citizen vote activity, is what you're saying?
That's right.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for clarification.
Absolutely.
All right.
Have a good evening.
Appreciate your call. Okay, that'll be it for callers tonight. Appreciate our callers as always. We will get into some voicemails and emails, but before we do, we got to catch up with our super chatters. So let me pull that up here, and we'll get we'll see what super chatters are saying. Okay, if I can find it. Got to refresh over on YouTube and Tippy. Over on Rumble, Ginger Ninja. The Unite the Right leader, Jason Kessler, was a giant Obama supporter, then magically started this radical right stuff in 2015. It's all the Fed op from the start. I've heard that about him. I don't know much about him, but and has that guy just disappeared since Charlottesville? Is he still doing anything?
Well, I mean, a lot of those alt-right leaders from 2015, 2016, 2017 have now been outed as leftists. So
Is it? I remember Richard Spencer unironically supporting Biden. I don't know if he was a full-on Democrat or if he had other reasons for it. But
it's not unironic. Richard Spencer has come out many times saying that he's not really on board with a lot of right-wing politics.
well, that's what I mean. Like he
Richard Spencer's
authentically supported Joe Biden.
and Kamala Harris. Like he's been a leftist. That's the entire reason why he created his branch of the alt-right, was to degrade the right from within. He was a psyop the entire time.
That makes sense, because I don't know his politics at all. I've never really followed him, but what was right wing about him? I mean,
Nothing. Well, I mean, I guess it's
you could be
immigration.
an identitarian leftist, but yeah, no, he's never like Trump.
Yeah. I mean, I guess his immigration stance, I guess, is probably the most right wing thing about him.
I've been called a retarded fag.
Jeez.
By Ramsey C. Said
That's
Texas was forced to redistrict by the judiciary. Do your homework.
But they weren't.
Well,
they voted on it.
Yeah, I know there was judicial challenge. So what was the sequence of events here? Was it initiated by? I'm not aware of the judiciary just saying out of nowhere, "Hey, everyone has to redistrict." I assume there was some legislative action that was challenged, or to your point, I don't know the full history of the redistricting in Texas. It's also not the primary point of tonight's segment. And do my homework. Yeah, man. Like, I got X amount of hours in the day and I don't know every fact about every little thing. I'm sorry. If it makes me a retarded fag, I'm trying.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry,
but
man.
I would say, as a general rule, the judiciary responds to lawsuits or challenge. They don't just tell people to do stuff. So
I mean, they would have, checks of power on the other branches, but I don't know that the Texas judiciary gets to tell the Texas legislature that they have to take a vote and they have to pass it in order to, because the redistricting in Texas happened because the state legislature passed a vote in order to do so.
Regardless, I totally agree with the premise that what's going on in Virginia is not the same thing, even in proportion or scale, as what's going on in Virginia. So I'm not a retarded enough fag to say that they're the same. I grant the distinction. All right, Ramsey. Thank you for supporting the show. Zeldgear. I agree with Skulldugger on the religion of peace. Well, thank you for supporting the show as well.
I am not going to be niggardly.
And thank you for agreeing with Skulldugger.
What was that weird Mexican word for gay monkey?
Chimona.
Chimona.
Yeah.
So I
remember
ran
that.
it by. I've been doing my research. I've been running this by
Doing your homework.
the Spanish speakers that I know.
Yeah,
Not a
and?
single one of them has come back with. Nobody can even venture a guess as to what it might mean.
Yeah. Nobody's heard of Chimona. It's made up.
Nobody.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of Spanish speakers and a lot of gay people. I know a lot of gay Spanish speakers. Nothing. 0 hits.
Okay, I'll stick with gay monkey then.
Okay. I guess that's what it is. Yeah. Joshy Boy on YouTube says, I want a rap version of the Chimona song. I don't know if listener Dave does rap, but you can go to Suno and prompt it for rap and see if it'll do it for you. Newbie says Mark sounds like Danks. Is that a reference to who? Count? You don't sound like Count Dankula. Who's Danks?
Danks?
Yeah, who's that?
I got nothing.
I'm sorry, Newbie. I don't know who that is. But I do know who Count Dankula is, and you don't have that thick Scottish accent.
Not at all.
But even your vocal quality isn't really that similar. I don't know.
I'll go to bat for Dankula. I don't think his Scottish accent's that thick.
Well,
I can understand.
You can understand him, yeah.
About 95% of what Dankula says, so it's not.
They're
that
all
thick.
thick to me, those Scots. Joshy Boy also says veins bulging, eyes bloodshot, brows thoroughly furrowed. It was funny how he used the exact same description. It's just whatever's left of Biden's brain. That description of the Nazis in Charlottesville's burned into it, and he just recites the line. Yeah.
But he's also describing himself whenever he gets going in a debate.
And I guess I should be fair. Both of those lines were scripted. He was reading a script in the campaign video, and he was reading a script on the stage at the DNC. So it's probably the same guy writing his material, I assume. Toric Roma, I don't know what Trump is doing, but what Charlie said, quote, I trust he knows what he's doing. Well, I think that he's earned more trust than the typical politician, but I feel like I'm, at least on the Iran stuff, whatever trust was earned, I feel like I'm scraping that barrel. I've no idea.
But isn't the big question whether it's actually Trump doing this?
What are you saying?
Nothing. Who didn't possibly be inferring? No, I mean, I don't think it's even controversial that obviously it's not new that the theory is that every war in the Middle East serves Israel's interest more than America's, and that
Jews!
Epstein files and blah blah blah, all that stuff. I mean, I'm still not convinced. I know that the American military industrial complex funds AIPAC as much as AIPAC turns around and funds the people in the government, and that it's all just a big circular money laundering scheme. In Israel, I don't think they actually run the world or America, even though they do have undue influence because of dual citizenship. But I mean, it's an easy scapegoat to say, well, we're doing it for them, and Trump's just not an idiot. But I'm not convinced either way. Sorry.
I mean, I will say that Netanyahu is one of the worst American presidents of my lifetime.
Yeah, but he's the worst Israeli president too. So this Israel first stuff, like, they're not doing great either. That's what I don't get.
All right, that's all the chats for now. Appreciate our chatters.
I'll have to just circle back with you.
We are going to get into some voicemails. Before I do, a reminder that if you'd like to leave an email or a voicemail or a text message for the show, the way to do that is through the contact page on my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com/contact. We will start off with a caller about the charges filed by Mary Moriarty in Minneapolis against that ICE agent.
Yep.
Hey, Matt. Wanted to call in about the ICE agent driving down the shoulder and just explain. No, I completely believe this being 100% legitimate. We have people in traffic that will try and pull up the shoulder to get around everyone else because they think they're better and they think whatever they're going to do is more important, and it ticks me off. And I will pull out halfway onto the shoulder to force them back in traffic. I absolutely would have been someone who would have pulled out in front of that unmarked ICE agent car because I would have thought they're trying to get around traffic. I don't like that. So I believe him 100%. I think this is real. Thanks for what you do, Matt.
Well, thank you for the call. So this is a possible explanation for what we saw in that brief and obscured video that happened with the ICE agent in Minneapolis who got cut off by that driver and then drew his gun. I don't know if have you seen that, Mark?
I've seen one like that. I don't know if it's the same one or not. So it was only two cars in the middle of a road. It wasn't like a traffic jam.
And Skulldugger, I assume you've seen the video, yeah?
Yeah, I've seen it.
So Mary Moriarty, the prosecutor in Hennepin County, charges these ICE agents. We have a limited video. It looks like the ICE agent is driving on the shoulder of an interstate on-ramp or something. And you have this car that cuts them off. And then the ICE agent apparently draws a gun in response. The prosecutor says, and the air quotes victim says that the ICE agent pointed the gun. The ICE agent admitted to drawing the gun. We can't really see the gun in the video. And I made the point on Sunday, I don't buy for a second that the air quotes victim had no knowledge or suspicion that this was in fact an ICE agent driving the car, because we've seen video in Minneapolis of any SUV with dark windows being treated as though it's an ICE vehicle. However, what the caller is saying is, now people do this kind of jackass driving all the time, and it's so frustrating that people will make that move, whether you want to call it aggressive or not, to try to block people from using the shoulder. I'll take your word for it. I don't do a lot of urban driving anymore. I've not really seen people do that in the city driving I have done, but I could believe you that it happens. We don't know for sure unless we can see video of what led up to that moment. And unfortunately, there's an overpass blocking what we can see. If you saw the car that did the cutoff interacting with this ICE vehicle or behaving aggressively with this ICE vehicle before that moment, then to me, that would say, okay, they knew who this was. They knew what they were doing. If that one moment of the cutoff was all there was, number one, I could believe the caller's explanation that they didn't know it was an ICE vehicle. And number two, the pointing of the gun does become a lot less understandable morally, legally, all that, if that's in fact what happened. All we have is like the exact moment of the cutoff, and that's it. We have no additional context for what happened prior to that. So take your point. I don't know. Have you guys ever tried to block people from using the shoulder to get around cars?
I've had it done to me. So,
because you're the guy trying to get around the cars?
Yeah, but I was on a bike. And splitting lanes
on a bike.
That didn't make it. That didn't make it better. You
suck. Fuck you.
Yeah.
So actually, a buddy of mine did this vigilante driving technique.
Okay.
And I guess he pulled possibly too far onto the shoulder. There was a collision between the two vehicles, and because neither vehicle was deemed to be following traffic laws, the vehicle that was deemed to have caused the accident was my friend's car, who pulled out in front of the other car. So he was 100% responsible.
Well, that is interesting, because if the premise is nobody's allowed to drive in the shoulder, you are not. The guy driving in the shoulder is not justified. The guy doing the cutoff to obstruct him also not justified.
Right. So because neither of them were following the law,
only one of them intentionally drove into the vehicle, right?
The court had to determine who was the vehicle that was responsible for the collision.
And they can't do 50-50?
Yeah.
It should have been 50-50, probably. I mean, if this would have happened in a lane, it's probably 50-50. But because it happened on the shoulder, and neither vehicle was permitted to be on the shoulder for the purposes in which they were undertaking.
No, I would side.
The one who caused the accident was my friend trying to be the vehicle vigilante.
Yeah, I would side with the court, because the other guy should get a ticket for driving on a shoulder, and you caused an accident.
So, like, you have to understand that that's what you're doing is vigilantism. You are breaking the law in order to try to enforce the law yourself. You are not deputized in order to do this. And like the ironic thing is this person did this against law enforcement.
Right.
The only
but that law enforcement wasn't. They didn't have a siren. They weren't marked. Yeah.
The only vigilante.
They didn't know, 'cause it's an unmarked car, no sirens, no lights.
Right. Yeah.
So.
The only vigilante traffic enforcement I admit I have engaged in, and I don't do this anymore, or at least I shouldn't. But you ever get someone who is like riding your bumper so hard even though you're speeding, and then they try to pass, and it's like, all right, let's see what kind of balls you got. And you speed up as they move into the passing lane. I've done it, and I've pissed off some people by doing it. But it's an incredibly irresponsible thing that you shouldn't do. And if I caused a crash by doing it, I would be at fault. So Now I'm a responsible father with obligations and better sense, so I don't do that anymore. But in my younger days, I have engaged.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I brake check people like almost on a daily basis.
I definitely
but only
do
if they're
that, too.
tailgating.
That's another one. Man, I had one lady who was tailgating me in town where the speed limit is 25 and I'm going 25. I don't know what to tell you, lady. Like, we're not on the highway. And she was probably a couple feet away from my bumper, and I wasn't even trying to piss her off. And I could see, she was so close that I could see in my rear view her like shaking her fists in rage at me for going the speed limit in an urban is overstating Bozeman's environment. It's not, but it's a residential area, you psychopath.
Yeah,
and she sped off. She better have been going straight to the hospital to have a baby, which I know she wasn't because she was driving. But anyway, when she finally got around me, she took a left so hard that her tires squealed like in town. Which is just psycho stuff, but wish I had that one on video. Anyway,
I like to do the passive aggressive brake check where I don't actually hit the brakes. I just let off the lights, and
just a little,
I just
a little
drift.
touch,
and they have no idea because there's no brake lights. So like I'm just slowing down in front of them gradually.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant just a little like warning touch of the. You're talking about stop accelerating.
I just stop accelerating and
correct.
Then just coast it.
Got it. Okay, next up we got.
I do if someone honks at me at a light, I'm not going anywhere.
Now you're committed. All right.
I just put it in park.
Put it in park. Turn the car off.
Yep.
Now, if they rear end you in that scenario, whose fault is it?
Them causing an accident.
All right. Next up is Christopher from Savannah, who wants to talk about the SPLC situation.
Yay.
Hey, Matt, it's Christopher from Savannah again. Had to give you a call once I heard about the SPLC indictment, because it's really a good news, bad news sort of situation for the hoax hate segment. Good news is it totally vindicates the thesis of the segment that demand for hate outstrips the supply to the degree that it can be quite lucrative to manufacture. Bad news is someone now has to go back through all of the previous installments of that segment that were deemed inconclusive due to lack of a GoFundMe and see if they received any money from the SPLC. If you need somebody to do that, I'm kind of sort of between jobs at the moment, so I'll do it if you want. Just hit me up. Blessings to you and your family. Have a great night.
Blessings to you as well, sir. I thought you were going to say it's bad for the segment because maybe now people will think twice about the hoaxing of the hate, which I thought was going to happen after Jussie Smollett. That Jussie was so high profile and it was so embarrassing and indeed costly for him that people would think twice about engaging in the hoax hate. But in the it's over 7 years now since he did that. It's so long ago. I don't have any trouble. It's very rare that I don't see a suspected case of hoax hate on a weekly basis. Maybe a couple times a year that happens where there's not a new one each week. So, by the way, thank you for your offer on the auditing of prior. I don't know if that was a joke or not, but I'm not going to give you a homework assignment, though I do appreciate your commitment to the show. Godspeed in finding a job. Maybe you could become a fake Nazi or a Leering Center teacher. The great industries to get into right now. I don't know if the SPLC is still going to be hiring or the Leering Center, but there are opportunities if you look hard enough. Thank you, Christopher.
I wish that we had known about this because I had said it before, but like you could pay me to be more racist. Like I would take that money.
The only downside of the job is if it is exactly as it's dangerous, you know? I mean, like if you are entrapping people and you're found out.
Yeah, I'm not going to go steal files, but I could post some shit online.
Yeah, I mean, if you're found out, you might end up not being named by the DOJ in an indictment.
Yeah, these are real consequences.
Fair point. All right, next, you might be paid $1 million and have no consequences whatsoever.
Have no consequences
nothing will happen
whatsoever.
Yeah.
Okay, this call is from Foo Cough, who super chats sometimes under that name.
Hi, Matt and co-host for the Wednesday night stream. This is Foo Cough. Obviously, not my real name.
Audio's kind of in and out here, so bear with it.
Super chats from. My question for the evening is: have you heard the reports of Trump possibly being in the early stages of frontal lobe dementia? If he is, and conservatives deny it like leftists did with Joe Biden, how are we any better than them? Should we truly consider enacting the 25th Amendment, or should we take a page from the Dems and pretend everything is fine? Thank you for answering my question. Have a great evening.
All right. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. If there is, first of all, I haven't seen the reports. So if there are reports with good evidence, yeah, of course, the same standard that was applied to Joe Biden should be applied to Donald Trump. You don't think so? On the standard or the evidence?
It's not good evidence.
That's my question. Is
it's a bunch of people who are. It's the evidence. Yeah, it's a bunch of people diagnosing him because they watch him on TV.
Well, in fairness, I did that to Joe Biden.
Had a conversation, but Joe Biden was actually seeing doctors. There's actual doctors involved in the cover up of Joe Biden's medical conditions. To the point where we still don't know whether or not he has Parkinson's. He probably does. But he's still not been publicly diagnosed.
Even with your unqualified eyes, whatever moments Trump may have had, what is the ratio? It's like maybe one questionable one to Biden's 100.
Yeah.
I mean, I will follow where the evidence leads. I just haven't seen it. Yeah.
If for Trump, it's the like what the hell's going on.
That's true.
There's something there.
If you told me, there was
that
that theory about all this Iran stuff that he's a mad kid, like he's losing his mind, and that's why Iran is so crazy. But.
Maybe. I mean, his also, like, again, I've said it a million times. I still remember him from The Apprentice, and the guy made some retarded decisions all the time. Like, that was Trump, and some of them weren't retarded, and a lot of them were, and that was who he was. But I was under the impression that her question was a hypothetical, that if Trump were to have dementia, should conservatives 25th Amendment him? And I would say, yeah, because you want competent leadership.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, it would require an actual medical diagnosis and the severity of it to be known.
So not whoopee.
So the purpose of the 25th Amendment was basically incapacitation. If the president is basically like
can't do their job,
not mentally available to do the job at all, then you remove him using the 25th Amendment and install the vice president.
Would you argue Biden would
Biden probably qualified just based off he had doctors visiting the White House like weekly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I won't argue with that.
Like it's obvious that everybody around him knew exactly that there was problems and exactly what the problems were.
Yeah, it all came out later in Jake Tapper's book, his tell-all.
Has anyone heard from him since the election?
Yeah, he has made some appearances relatively recently, in fact. So no, he seems barely alive.
So the big difference for me is that everybody now basically accepts that for a good amount of Biden's term, he was not running the office of the presidency, and it was being run for him. Zero people are making that argument about Trump.
Yeah, right. I at least I haven't heard people saying that.
Yeah, I have not. It has not been said a single time.
Yeah, so, and the simple fact that you never heard one prominent Democrat even object at all when they replaced him with Kamala. He was the greatest president, most popular president of all time.
Yeah,
and they're just like, well, he's out, and everyone was like, okay. Like someone should have said, wait, isn't he the most successful president of all time? Maybe we should keep him in, right?
And we're going to go ahead and replace him with one of our worst performing candidates in the primaries
of all
ever.
time.
I can't wait till she runs again.
And no one cared. Yeah,
and nobody cared.
There's some tacit admissions going on there.
Yeah.
Also got a text on the line during the show tonight from Hugh Jass.
That's disgusting.
Is that a real name?
His name is Hugh Jass. Yeah. Explanation for Trump's behavior with Iran. Maybe Bibi has dirt on Trumpy and made him attack Iran, knows negotiations are going to fail, so Iran destroys Israel, but at the cost of global economy, like he cares no more dirt. Wait.
Well, can you...
Bibi has dirt on Trump. Okay, so it's like a blackmail thing. You're going to attack Iran, or I'm going to put this information out there.
Mm-hmm.
Knows the negotiations are going to fail. So Iran,
Bibi or Trump?
I think Bibi is the architect of this scheme here.
Okay.
Knows the negotiations are going to fail. So Iran destroys Israel. But so BB wants Israel destroyed so the
That's
global
what I'm
economy is destroyed. wait.
I think he's saying Trump knows that it's going to fail. So
Maybe
4D chess destroys Israel.
Oh.
At the cost of the global economy.
Okay. So Trump, BB
good
thinks
'cause
he's
Patriots.
4Ding Trump, but Trump's 4Ding him.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Oh,
It's
that's
like that-
There we go. Trust the plan, guys.
It's like that double twist in a spy movie where
Yeah.
you get the twist and then there's the second twist.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have an update to a call from last week as well. There was a voicemail from XFD about another guy named Matt Christiansen, who supposedly is some gay guy with AIDS who got like $20 million in a discrimination lawsuit because they made fun of his AIDS at work. And I'm going to play the voice
sounder for that.
I got several AIDS related ones. But I'm going to play his voicemail, XFD's from last week, just to remind everyone the context.
Hello, Matt. Have you ever Googled yourself and learned about the other Matt Christiansen, who was a plaintiff in a sexual harassment lawsuit because he was gay and had AIDS, and he was sued, but he sued his employer for wrongful termination and harassment, and ended up winning a $20 million settlement. I think he might be your arch rival in the upcoming gay war. Have a good show. Goodbye.
Yeah,
Okay,
I just Googled Matt Christiansen AIDS and got boss assumed that gay employee must have AIDS.
Okay, so you might be onto it because I couldn't find it based. So I said, hey, XFT caller guy, if you have information on this, please send it to me because I want to learn more. And he did. He was kind enough to email me the information. Maybe this is the exact article you found. I don't know. But sure enough, headline Slate in 2017, how a gay employee fought horrific discrimination and won a major legal victory. And yes, this guy pictured here spells his name exactly the same as mine, Matthew Christiansen, Christiansen. So I assume he's a fellow Dane, is why he spells his name that way. I one time back in around 2008, 2009, I went through and friended all the Matt Christiansens on Facebook so we could all be friends. I don't know. Maybe I'm friends with this guy. Who knows? Maybe I was friends with him before he had AIDS. But this guy was indeed a part of what was described as a landmark lawsuit that decided he could sue for sex discrimination under the Civil Rights Act for anti-gay discrimination. The case was Christiansen versus Omnicom Group. So I'm glad to know my name. If you Google my name, you're going to find allegations of being a Russian puppet and also a gay guy with AIDS who successfully sued his employer. And they're going to think it's all me.
Is he gay and doesn't have AIDS, or
No,
has
this is the
AIDS and
kicker.
He's not gay.
This is the kicker. Okay, so what happened according to this interview he gave to Slate? It all started when his boss or an executive at the company named Joe. It's some kind of Italian name, Cianciotto or something. I don't know. This guy, Joe, who's an executive at the company, started drawing pictures of him on the dry erase board at work. In fact, we have an image of one of the drawings that Joe made. And it is a pumped up man, as described in the interview by Matthew Christiansen, a pumped up man with a giant hard on who is very pumped up for gay marriage.
That's a big game, man.
I'm so pumped for marriage equality is what Joe drew. This is his portrait of Matthew Christiansen here. Okay, but the torment at work continued. So Joe was apparently running around the office, this executive, saying, look at me, look at the new guy. He's so gay, he must have AIDS. Okay. The most offensive incident came in 2013. In front of 15 employees, Joe said, I was sick all weekend. I felt terrible. I felt like I had AIDS. You sure know what that's like, don't you, Matt?
That's a good joke.
Now, this is the point of fact that you're getting at, Mark. The other Matthew Christiansen, he doesn't have AIDS. He's
just gay.
He's only HIV positive. He doesn't have full-blown AIDS. So the joke was actually not a joke. It was just a correct statement. Hey, has everyone observed the new homosexual employee who has AIDS? It was not mockery. It was actually a factually correct greeting.
Wait, so did he win on the basis that HIV isn't AIDS?
Well, it sounds like I wasn't able to find the conclusion of the lawsuit. I believe XFD, because it sounds like you researched this. XFD is saying this guy got a big payout, whether by judgment or by settlement.
Probably settlement.
Yeah. But the what was legally significant about this case, apparently, it was in federal court. They said that it was sexual orientation-based discrimination, which is covered by the Civil Rights Act, which in its text only covers sex-based discrimination. So the case was significant legally for that reason.
Because the article that came up #1 in my Google search from Schwartz, Perry, and Heller LLP, which to me sounds like a law firm. The title is "Boss Assumed That Gay Employee Must Have AIDS."
And he didn't. He was only HIV positive.
So is HIV AIDS is the question.
Well, congratulations to the other Matthew Christiansen for using AIDS to become a millionaire. It sounds like that's what he did. By the way, caller Christopher from Savannah, you're looking for work. Great model here. Just get AIDS so somebody can make fun of you for it and you can cash in.
Bingo.
When you said that you had friended all the Matt Christiansens on social media, I wish I had access to the soundboard. That way I could have pushed many of them probably have AIDS.
Let me find that one. That's is it this one?
Many of those people probably have AIDS.
You would have been correct. At least one of them probably had AIDS. Anyway, I can't believe my name is assigned to that. Okay, let's get into some emails. Thank you, XFD. I appreciate that's a funny story, and I'm glad to know the truth of it. All right, some emails here. Animal Guy. Years ago, I remember someone asking you if you thought that an animal can act immorally, and you said no. Do you think that it logically follows from that nothing a person does to an animal can be immoral, unless the animal is the property of another person, or if the person does anything very degenerate like bestiality? Or are there other things you would add to the list? So I don't remember this question, but I'll take your word for it. My opinion remains the same. Animals do not act immorally. I don't know what my reasoning was back then, but today I would say it's because they lack the human capacity to reason, which is required for moral decision making. In general, animals are not created in God's image the way humans are, though they are part of the design. And that is also a key point of the analysis here. So I don't think it logically follows from that the premise that nothing a person does to an animal can be immoral, even though animals themselves are not capable of immoral action. But because animals are a part of God's design, like the earth itself, you have an obligation to respect them. You can't treat them. You can treat them immorally. You can do bad things to them. Trees, likewise, can't behave immorally. They're just a part of the natural world. But if I go burn down a forest for no benefit to humanity, or indeed putting human beings or property in danger, I've still committed an immoral act for that same reason. And so the reason being, I've been cruel or destructive with a part of God's design that has no benefit to humanity or even creates a threat to humanity. So that would be my response there. You guys agree on the animal morality analysis?
Mostly agree. I don't think we should be imposing any moral codes onto animals, especially unless you have a very good basis for communication with said animal and they can, express to you what their frame of mind was when they committed the act. I don't think there's any purpose in even going down that road. Morals are for human to human interactions, but morals do also play a part when it comes to how man interacts with the world around him, especially if under the Christian tradition. The Judeo-Christian tradition states that God has given man dominion over the earth. And what that means is not that, we're number one on the earth, therefore everything that we do is permitted. What it means is that he's made us stewards. It's a stewardship relationship that we have with this earth. And that includes the animals living on it. So if you are acting in a way that is not for the benefit of God's creation and that which he's given you stewardship over, that's immoral.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yep.
All right. You want to add anything else to it, Mark? You want to move on?
Nope.
Okay.
That was great.
Chief Justice. Okay, so this is going to get into the if you guys didn't see, we had that there was that viral video that we talked about on Sunday with the gay dads who had their son, their 5-month-old son, who was a surrogate born baby, and they were jokingly mocking this baby who was saying, "Mama, no way, Jose, no way, there's no mom," and did the whole sign tapping bit about the proper arrangement for children and the right to mother and father and all that. So that is the context in which this question fits. What is your opinion on single adults adopting children, and how does it compare to gay couples adopting children in its ability to serve the interests of the child? Suppose a straight man in his mid-40s has, through no fault of his own, had a very difficult time finding a woman to have kids with, and he adopts a child. He works remotely so he can attend to the child at any time. Suppose additionally that this man is essentially a quote-unquote incel, and he is not constantly bringing or hooking up with women either. Is this setup equally as destructive as the gay couple parenting, or is it better? So, in general, the same rules to me apply to the single straight guy that apply to the gay guys that we talked about on Sunday, or gay guys of any type who are acquiring children through the means that they might. If you are creating life with the intent of removing the baby's mother or father from that life, that's immoral because that child has a right to his mother and his father. In this situation, it sounds like you're not creating a child through surrogacy or something. You're adopting an existing child, and that could be circumstantially appropriate, but best interest for the child is always the guiding principle. So some orphan children perhaps could be better off in this situation than they otherwise might be. Maybe some orphan children might be better off with a gay couple than they otherwise might be, though that has been my position historically, because I believe that a mother, and if not the child's mother and father, a mother and father figure for that child are the best substitute. You can't just substitute two dads and act like one is mom. I'm starting to have a lot of questions about gay adoption as well. Though that, of course, I do think is morally different from the surrogacy arrangement. But what I would say here, for this, because the gay adopters owe that child a mother and father figure, even though the child's mother and father, in whatever circumstance it's in, have been removed already, the father in this case, who's a single dad, you adopt the child, I would still say that dad has an obligation to find a mother figure for that child. Now, maybe easier said than done. In this situation, he can't find one. I get it. But I would say that if he adopts the child and never makes the effort to find a mother figure for that child, there is a moral, maybe failure is too strong a word, moral inadequacy. There is a duty for him there that he has not completed, that he should on behalf of that child. So, and the problem with the gay adoption is that if the gay guys refuse to do that in principle, this is our gay relationship, we will not find a mother figure for that child. To me, that's the same avoidance or refusal of the moral obligation that exists there. So, I think the rules actually apply the same. And my only rule for this guy would be, you got to find that kid. You got to find that kid a mother figure. You got to do what you can to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's is one single guy better than two? I'm assuming that the figurative adoptive single male in this scenario is not gay. Under that assumption,
it says he's interested in women. Yeah.
Okay, then it would be preferable to two gay men. But again, it's not black and white. It's like a triage, right? So would two gay men be better than starving to death? Probably. Would a straight man be better than two gay men? Probably. Would a heterosexual couple be better than a single man? Definitely. And it's like, if you've ever been to family court, they don't look at things as black and white either. They say, what's in the best interest of the child?
Yeah.
And I think the best interest of a child is always a heterosexual couple. So no matter who you are and what excuse you make, if your goal isn't getting that baby into a situation involving a heterosexual couple, then you're not doing what's in the best interest of the child, and therefore you are morally deficient.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed in full.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say that a single straight man is less degenerate than two gay men, because then the single straight man is not perverting the role of the mother. It's just absent.
Yeah.
But
what if he what if he says, I am an actual incel and I reject.
Then he shouldn't have a kid.
Or no, I'm a vol cell. Like I'm a what's the word? Like remember they used to be called like MRAs, like or MGTOW guy, not MRAs. MGTOW. What if he's committed to not having a wife or a motherly figure?
Is that
I would
in
say
the
that's
best
wrong.
interest of the child?
No, I don't think it is. Yeah.
Then there you go.
So, I mean, fortunately here in California, that the courts would actually probably take care of that for you, because they probably would not award custody to this person. So,
do they award to single mothers there? I'm assuming they do, but
so
I'm not sure.
You have to be gay.
If you were unrelated to the child, it is not likely that if you were a single person and you were unrelated to the child, it is not likely that you're going to be granted custody of the child. They would much rather the child go through the foster system.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Next up is Ben, and Ben has one of those names like Maya Dixon Butte, where it sounds I actually can't tell. Is this one a trap or is this your real name? Ben N. Snyder, which to me sounds like Ben Insider.
Ben Snyder.
That's disgusting.
It's on the line.
I'm sorry if I'm destroying your good name, Ben. Like that gay guy with AIDS did to mine. But we'll just call you Ben. Politics used to be my main important thing that I cared about, but now as a newly baptized Christian, I find theology way more interesting and important. So my question to you is, has politics taken more of a back seat as religion has become more important, as it has for me? Does knowing God bring you more peace to your mind in the ever-changing news cycles? I still like keeping up with politics, especially culture, but theology is just where it's at for me right now. Much love and God bless. Well, God bless you as well. Now, for me, I wouldn't say that it depends what you mean. Like in moral priority, of course, I would say that my relationship with my journey toward God is more important than day-to-day politics. However, to the extent that day-to-day politics are my job and what I do, not only because I enjoy it, but because it is my quote-unquote profession, it doesn't take a backseat in that way, in the same way like everybody's job is going to be a primary, maybe not the primary over your faith itself, but it's going to be a very important piece of your life. So it's not as though politics have stepped back in importance in my life. It's just maybe the framework through which I view politics changes a little bit. I am, to your point, Ben, I'm very interested in moral philosophy, kind of always have been, but I really am finding an interest in that lately, and maybe more than I used to. And of course, that informs the way that I view politics as well. And so I wouldn't say that it has changed the volume at which I consume these things, but maybe the lens through which I view them or analyze them. And of course, it's been very meaningful and very impactful. And I'm glad. Wait, is that the right word? Is impactful a word, or is it
Yeah.
I felt like I made that up. Maybe, I don't know. Very valuable in my life. Yeah. Glad to be on the path, and it's a lens through which I view politics. That's the way I would characterize the change. You guys have any thoughts on that?
Not really. I mean, I was wondering if he just means like in pure entertainment value. They take returns, but I've always only looked at politics through a religious lens. So
yeah.
I mean, I unfortunately have not been able to separate the two because politics has invaded religion in my area. So there's a lot of woke Christian churches. So I've had to leave a bunch of churches because of the infiltration there. So it forces me to stay abreast of political situations. Like, especially I basically live in enemy territory. I live behind enemy lines. So
you mean in a woke church?
I'm in a woke area. I mean, I'm in an area that is that actively hates people like me. I mean, that's why I have to use an anonymous name on the internet. Yeah. If I had my real name floating about and people made the connection, I could lose my job. I couldn't.
No, I'm in the exact same situation.
Like I would be out.
Can you even say where you live?
So it's important for me to sort of. Yeah, I mean, I said the general area that I live in. So I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, specifically the East Bay.
Okay.
It's super liberal here. It's not just super liberal, it's crazy liberal. Like we are the commie liberals that like the Democrats want you to think don't exist. That is who I share my surroundings with. That's who 90% of my neighbors are. And so like these people actively hate me. But the only reason why they don't do anything about it is because they don't know that I hate me, because I keep a low profile here publicly. Nobody knows what my beliefs actually are. So it's important for me to understand the politics of the left, because I'm surrounded by them, and they get crazier as time goes on. And unfortunately, I mean, I would love to have been able to keep, the whole process of keeping an eye on what leftists are doing and then practicing my Christianity. I would have loved to have kept those in two separate houses, but they kind of got slammed together, and it's impossible to just enjoy Christianity without also having to dodge leftist propaganda.
It's interesting because I haven't been to church in years, but I consider myself religious. But I actually left my church because they weren't political at all. And then now to see, I can imagine if I went back, they're probably woke now, because I hear a lot of churches went that way. But yeah, what frustrated me was they didn't want to be like, it was like the church, and then everything outside the church was just condemned by God forever, and they couldn't care less about it. And to me, that was nuts. And I was like, no, you got to be like in the world, but not of it. It requires actually going out and being in the world. You can't just cloister yourself from everything. So.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like as soon as it's really weird, because like one of the first indications that the church that I had been attending for a long time, was going woke, was we eliminated our homeless outreach program, and it was just like it was like one of those things. It's just like that was probably the most gospel related thing we were doing as a group. And
yeah, that's actually doing something.
It was the first thing to go, and it was like
wow.
a huge red flag. And then like they took the actual cross off of the stage.
Oh God! What?
So
they didn't put a rainbow out there, did they?
As you're watching the worship service, there's no cross visible from your seat. It's just like,
okay,
wow,
this is weird.
All right,
what do you do now? We trans kids.
Yeah. Thank you, Ben. And by the way, I forgot to say, congratulations on your baptism, and God bless you. Thanks for sending an email. All right. Next up is Minnesota root beer enjoyer. And this is when I mentioned earlier, we had a story about Turkey. Did you hear about the school shooting in Onikisubat, Turkey? The shooter was non-binary and apparently had a tranifesto. How long until this story gets dropped? Well, I had not heard about the story, maybe because it was dropped, or probably because I never see stories about Turkey. So I had to look it up, but the description does look accurate. Let me grab the story here.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that Turkey had school shooters or
was that Greta?
Maybe it kind of looks like Turkish Greta. Jesus. You're right. So on April 15th, a 14-year-old non-binary biological male shooter killed 10 people, injured 16 in a school shooting. No word on any prior communication with Tim.
I've become friends with school shooters.
Shooter was previously known as a problem student at the school, according to the guidance counselor.
No, you're kidding.
A long history of disciplinary episodes. Indeed, there is an online manifesto dated April 11th. I read through this. It's actually in English. It's kind of weird, broken English, but it is in English. And the shooter describes being very lonely. To give you an idea of what this block of text actually says, it describes being both disastrously lonely, but also viewing oneself as superior to everybody. I'm so much better. I'm so much smarter. I'm just superior to everyone in every way, and yet I have no friends. My family hates me, and people look at me like I'm some kind of freak.
Those are actually quite congruent.
Yeah, it's lonely at the top. Yeah,
apparently. But it does strike me as the sort of like self-worship that transgenderism is associated with. Transgenderism is the belief that you are not made in God's image, that you make yourself in your own image. Yeah. And there's a certain degree of self-worship that goes along with that.
Self-actuation, self-worship. Yeah.
So I'm not going to go through this block of text, but a lot of it is of that theme. And the manifesto was apparently actually leaked by the guy's online girlfriend from Argentina. Had some kind of online relationship going on. During the shooting, the shooter was tackled by a father or a parent from the school. And just like the Old Dominion case, the father actually stabbed this shooter, and the shooter died at the scene from blood loss. So a pretty hardcore end. But the body count was giant here too. I mean, the 10 dead, 16 injured. So this was a very significant school shooting in Turkey.
I had no idea that the cult had reached the other side of the world.
I am, to your point, I'm shocked that like transgenderism in Turkey is a thing. Yeah. But maybe the school didn't know that. I mean, this is based on the pictures, this is a very low effort transition. You know, it's not like
it is, but I'm just kind of interested to see what will win in the battle between I mean, is this woke? I don't know what you call it. It's the furthest sort of evolution of wokeism. But yeah, the battle between that and Islam will be fascinating to watch. I didn't know it was even happening.
Well,
Islam wins that one hands down.
Maybe this is why you were saying Turkey's going secular.
I mean, it's the closest thing that we really have to observe of secular Islam. So
right, but I mean, Turkey is traditionally an odd place, though, isn't it? Like it was.
Yes.
Go far enough back, it was Christian, and then it's sort of waffled back and forth, and never really been fully one or the other for.
It's also right there on the balance between Europe and the Middle East. It's technically a European country.
Yeah, it's the battleground, really.
But everybody views it as a Middle Eastern country because it's Arab. So
yeah, but this is I can't say it. You know what I'm saying? The place there, Istanbul,
Constantinople,
Istanbul, Constantinople. Yeah. It was that was the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire.
Right.
Thank you, Minnesota Root Beer Enjoyer. I have just a few more, so I'll try to I'll maybe make these kind of lightning round ones. Although this one doesn't look very lightning roundy, I think it's a pretty simple concept from Be Humble here. So we'll entertain this one. I have a theory about that all immorality can be boiled down to man attempting to take the place of God. Murder, taking God's right to decide when life ends. Greed, demanding more from life than God has chosen to bless you with. Lust and other vices, pleasing my flesh above pleasing God. This is why things like gay marriage, surrogacy, and abortion can easily be identified as immoral. They are all examples of man deciding that the way he wants to live his life is better than what God has chosen for him. This is also why we are all guilty of original sin. Adam and Eve just did the most literal version of the immorality we practice every day. And I generally agree. A moral framework in general follows from acknowledging that there is a moral author for this world. That's God. God writes the rules. God gives value to human life. From that premise, our entire moral framework follows. Without it, morality is relative and it's really a human creation. So staying in general with your life, staying consistent with God's design is how you live a life well and how you prosper, how you be happy, how you live a moral life. Trying to write the rules for yourself, like we were just talking about in the transgender context, it doesn't have to be gender transition. Just thinking, I know like generally the world works this way, but I don't like that. So I'm going to write the rules and operate that way. When you try to be the rule writer for the world, you're going to have a bad time. So I would agree with the analysis.
Yeah, it's a very good, thoughtful, philosophical insight. And I agree that, you should always be trying to make yourself align with the world the way it is rather than trying to make the world align with you the way you are. But this is something that I've found very frustrating, is trying to apply that perspective to something like politics, where the drive is to involve yourself and change things.
Yeah.
And what is God's
that
order?
Why politics attracts degenerates? Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I don't have an answer there. I still can't figure it out. Like that's
makes
why
sense.
I'm thinking I lean instinctively more towards something like monarchy, where you're not involved, and I think that is more inherently right wing than something like democracy, where you think you should be involved.
Yeah,
well, but I've never received any instruction about which is right.
It's an interesting theory. If you think that you should write the rules for your own life,
right?
you're the best person to do that, why wouldn't you be the best person to write the rules for other people's lives too? Hence politics.
Right. Yeah, I mean, at the core of everything, I don't know that there is a queer identified person that is not self-centered. I think self-centeredness is part and parcel of the queer identity because you are constructing something which is against your actual nature. So you are having to redefine your own existence every day, every moment of every day.
According to your own pleasures,
according to your own codes, your own pleasures, your own decisions, you're completely disconnected from the actual design of your life, of humanity in general, of the world around you, and it's got to be a really sort of frustrating and, I mean, ultimately lonely existence for anybody who's self-centered, not just the queer identifying. Like when you center your universe around yourself, that's got to be extremely
alienating,
isolating. Like why would you want that? Why would you want that for yourself? I mean, there's a reason why that's not the design. There's a reason why the design is to search for the divine and center your life around the divine, because then everything else literally falls into place around you.
And no matter how awesome you think you are, or maybe you actually even are, no matter what level of talent you have. Sure. We were talking about this in the Bible study the other week when you were talking about, what was the phrasing you used? Decay, and you're either growing stronger or you're decaying.
Yeah, growth or
decay. The idea being that
spectrum.
Yeah, even
you're
if
either
you're
growing or you're decaying.
Yeah, even if you're remarkably talented and you are superior to everyone in every ability in the way this transgender person was describing, guess what? One day you won't be. And I feel like I'm at that stage of my life right now where
it's called your mid-40s.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, stuff is harder than it used to be, or I don't feel like this little piece of my health doesn't feel as good as it did before. Not that I'm unhealthy or something, but you realize your own decay, and you realize, okay, from here, I live vicariously through my children to some degree. I know that they are the future. They are my legacy. Yeah. If you are self-centered and you never actually build that family, build that legacy, you're going to, no matter how awesome you are, you're going to reach a point where you are on the decay slide. And that's a very lonely, sad slide if there's no future in the way that you've built your life.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also interesting the way,
and you will I was just gonna say by default you were going to be on a suboptimal existence because you decided to act against what the natural code was, and you tried to carve something yourself. And whatever you managed to carve for yourself, it's not going to be as good as if you had followed the design.
Yeah,
you're on a suboptimal path.
Yeah. Well, if you look into the history of like queer theory and queer politics, and why queerness inevitably became political and became inextricably linked with leftism, because they both have that same thing, which is the denial of God and the wanting to shape the world in your fashion instead of seeking to make yourself into God's design.
Yeah.
And that they are the same. It's like when people hear you all the time, like Democrats say, I wish we could get back to, a moderate, middle of the road, sensible leftism that wasn't about all this. It's like, no, this was the inevitable. I think it's an inevitable joining of a bad politics.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard that left-wing argument. I just want a world where X. I remember a friend of mine, we were talking about gun control. I just want a world where school shootings aren't possible. Like, yeah, me too, man. Yeah, I want a world where Bigfoot shows up on a unicorn and gives me a ride to a magical kingdom. But that ain't the world that exists. So what are we going to, you have to conform to the one that's real.
And if you really want to break it down, I think this is just sort of the offspring of that fundamental principle where Christianity looks at the world and says, this is a fallen world. And, Christ came to save your soul, and you're saved through grace and repentance, but you can't save the world. That's the fallen state is an integral part of it. Whereas leftism is a completely outward looking, I'll fix the world.
Yeah, we could,
no matter how many people have to kill to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you be humble. All right, speaking of betraying God's design. Jizzy McFartits.
That's disgusting.
Thank you for at least being...
Only on the Matt Christiansen show do you go from the extremes and the segues. Yeah.
Unlike, it's not Jizzy, it's Jizzle. Unlike Ben, where I have to wonder, is this supposed to be gross? Jizzle, thank you for being very clear in your intent. And this one is a ridiculous question, but in my mind, there is only one sensible answer. And right. I'm the only one who has to answer, mind you. This was sent to me. He says you have to answer. You guys don't have to if you don't want to. But this is a would you rather question. Would you rather have sex with a fully passing tranny, meaning everything checks out, but you know it's a dude? So I assume there's been some perfecting God's design, like we were talking about, or surgical alterations to perfect yourself contrary to God's design, I suppose is what we're talking about here. Or so passing tranny relations, or you get pegged by Sydney Sweeney and have hetero sex with her after. You know the rules, you have to answer. Okay, this is a very simple analysis. Not that I grant the legitimacy of either of these things. One is fully gay. One is relations with a man. One is gay adjacent. It's like simulated gay. It's deviant relations with a woman. So I'm going to take deviant relations with a woman, and to me there is no argument if you must do one. I can't imagine the case for there's no tranny case to be made, even though the Sydney Sweeney option has its flaws. Agree, disagree?
Well, I still don't understand what fully passing tranny means. Like passing,
would that be a woman?
Visually passing and has had surgical alterations for the parts, I assume.
Eventually it's going to fail my analysis. There's no such thing as a fully passing tranny. Eventually you're going to get to a point where I'm going to be like, nope.
Yeah, there's a spectrum there, and it's got to be, what is it? Is it fully?
I don't understand the fully passing.
Yes,
yeah. Exactly. I don't understand the fully passing tranny. I understand like passing tranny or mostly passing. Like I get those concepts. Fully passing, I don't know. There is definite fail points there for me,
especially when you have to go to the full extent with this fully passing person.
Exactly. I'm gonna find out eventually.
Yeah. It's not just observing from afar.
Exactly. Yes. At some point, it's going to become apparent.
Mark, you want to make the case for the tranny?
Really, really easy to answer as soon as it said Sydney Sweeney. It could be like anything with anyone or anything with Sydney Sweeney. You're going to lean in one direction.
I'm not saying that Sydney Sweeney is unattractive, but am I the only guy that doesn't think she's like God level?
Are you homosexual?
She's a great 8.
But why? I guess my question is, why is Sydney Sweeney the go-to of obvious goddess woman? She's fine.
Because she's willing to. Yeah, and she is completely willing to subject herself to the male gaze. So she has a lot of guys are very into the fact that she's very into guys looking at her. So
and she's like 10% based. That's just a terribly potent combination of things.
She had that meme interview where she gave the glare,
of those things, and she'd be a 7. But it's the combination.
And to be clear, I'm not even a hater either. I'm not like if someone introduced me, this is my girlfriend Sydney, I wouldn't be like, wow, what a disgusting uggo, whatever. To me, I would say in terms of the public appreciation aesthetically, overrated. It's not a shot. I'm just saying overrated.
Well, as Joshy Boy points out in the chat, she's got great genes.
Right. Yeah. Well, that was her whole American Eagle bit.
Yeah. So not cucking out on not answering the question in case I haven't made it apparent here. We're doing the Sydney Sweeney job.
Yeah. We're taking Sydney.
Yep.
Okay. Just a couple notes here. Thank you, Jizzle. Longtime follower of the duct tape wanted to clarify that last week there was a misunderstanding of the communication. He was not saying that backing into a parking spot is a violation, like not returning your cart to the corral. We misunderstood him. I was trying to figure out why backing into a parking spot is bad, and that was not his perspective, apparently. So thank you for emailing and clarifying that. And then speaking of Joshy Boy, Joshy has kind of a detailed question here. Should we do this one like really quick? I don't think this is a really quick one, but this is the last one I have. All right. I'm going to give you guys the question in the interest of quickness. All right.
All right.
Joshy Boy says, hello, Matt and guests. I have an interesting question I would like to get your thoughts on. We all know of physical genocide, which is killing an entire group of people through violence. Of course, the Armenians at the hands of the Ottomans he references. But what do you think about the idea of cultural genocide? Take the Romans, for example, how they would Romanize those they conquered. I consider cultural genocide to be the elimination of a people's identity, as in their language, their dress, their attire, their diet. We're seeing this play out in nations like the UK and even here in the US with all the illegal immigrants. Should it be important for a nation to preserve its cultural identity like Hungary, or is there time to eliminate one and replace it with another? You guys have any cultural genocide thoughts?
A few, because that's exactly, well, just to be extremely pedantic, that actually exists within the current definition of genocide, which is in whole or in part. So literally to attack a people basis on the basis of them being a people, and to attack any part of them being a people or the population numbers is considered genocide.
Okay.
But
so you can commit
what,
a genocide without killing a single person, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a really broad definition.
Yeah.
For, you know,
sounds like some Canadian nonsense,
reasons.
but we'll go with it.
but that's, I mean, if you look at what we did to the natives after we stopped warring with them, we said, okay, you just can't be that culture anymore, and took their kids to Christian schools and said, like, literally banned teaching their own kids their language. Yeah, I'm not crazy about that part of our history. I thought, again, if you'd say that the culture is terrible, but maybe parts of it are, yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan, even though I haven't pieced together why.
So the introduction of the Roman example into this is real, makes this conversation really interesting, because a lot of the cultures that Rome sort of consumed and overrid their culture. I mean, that was part of the Roman model, was to move into an area. You didn't have to, you know, completely wipe out the population. You could if you wanted to. Julius Caesar certainly had something against the Gauls and basically murdered almost their entire population. But for the most part, Rome's whole shtick was to gain influence over an area and then completely just reform it into a Roman. So they would rename things. They would rename your country. They would rename your people, and they would rename your language. And that was just how you went about things. And
right.
There was a bit of a buy-in as it pertains to Rome. Yes, there was the threat that if you didn't go along with it, they could just kill you. So the cultural genocide alone doesn't necessarily apply to Rome, because there's always the threat that if you become a problem, they will just wipe you out anyway. So the threat of the physical genocide is kind of always like ever present. But there was also a lot of those cultures were willing to go along with it, because the Roman situation was better than the way that they were living. So when you're talking about these cultures that Rome went in and consumed, a lot of them were vastly more underdeveloped and poor than what Rome was. So being taken under the Roman Empire and just basically letting Rome Romanize your country and your culture was actually seen as an upgrade for a lot of these cultures. So there was there was definitely a level of buy-in.
Voluntary or consenting cultural genocide.
They would want to become Roman citizens, right? Even after being conquered. Like that was a badge of honor.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, especially when Rome made it to Britain, the majority of Britons were starving at the time. So anything was an upgrade so they welcomed the Romans with open arms.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Joshy Boy. And thank you guys for your thoughts. As a reminder, if you'd like to, and thanks to all our emailers, if you'd like to leave a voicemail or email for the show, you can do that through the contact page on my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com/contacts. All right. Just a couple super chatters here, and then we'll call it a night. Ginger Ninja over on Rumble says, have you seen the articles about Trump being removed from the Situation Room during the alleged pilot rescue, as well as Trump wanting to practice using the nuclear codes and General Kane refusing. I've not seen either of those reports. I've not seen claims that the pilot rescue, so this was the guy who was downed in Iran and climbed to the top of the mountain, and then they got him out of there just in time while blowing up their C-130s or whatever they had to do a couple weeks ago. A story that, I mean, sounded straight like a movie plot when it came out. So could I believe that certain pieces of it were exaggerated for some kind of political effect? Could I believe? I have a hard time believing it would be outright fake. But
who removed the president from the Situation Room?
Yeah, that would be.
There's only one. Reports. There's only one person I could even think of that could even approach having the authority to remove the president from the Situation Room, and that would if there's an active threat, the head of the Secret Service could remove the president.
That would probably be it, right? Yeah.
Nobody in the Situation Room. If the president is acting up, or is belligerent or whatever, you just have to deal with it. The Situation Room belongs to the president. It is the president's table.
Okay, now I'm seeing clarification. Jill Biden actually came in, and she has authority in the Situation Room. She removed him. That's how that worked out. No, I without having seen the reports, Ginger Ninja, I don't know. But I will say that the pilot rescue was just like this flash story of an incredible feat, and then just kind of like went away. And I'm not saying it didn't happen, but we just haven't seen a lot of information about it.
Kiev, feeling.
I can see the president not being there for it in the Situation Room, but him being removed by somebody else, I'm not buying that.
These are the sort of things that get reported by anonymous sources, and so it could be a situation like you're describing. He stepped out to take a piss, and someone misunderstood what happened.
Yeah.
And they tell their source at CNN or whoever's their reporter at CNN or whoever's reporting it, oh yeah, he was taken out because he couldn't handle it.
Virtually the only person that has the authority to impede the movements of the president of the United States within the jurisdiction of his duties as president is the head of the Secret Service. So, and that's only if there's an active threat. Right. I can't imagine there was an active threat during the rescue in the Situation Room.
Yeah, it can't be like, I don't like what you're saying. I'm taking you out of here.
Yeah, thank you. Or maybe it was Bibi. Bibi was there. He said, "No, you're done."
There you go.
President Netanyahu said, "Get him out of here."
Thank you, Ginger Ninja. All right, just one more on YouTube here. The SPLC. They're actually in my in the Tibby stream chat. Hey Matt, here's $5 of taxpayer money to say the N-word. You're welcome. Except for it's written out fully. Nigger. I'm going to. The SPLC has commanded it, so I'm going to do the best job I can within YouTube compliance. Nig. Grr. How's that for the Southern Poverty Law Center? Does that work out? That's the best you're going to get, SPLC.
And to be fair, as far as we can tell, it may require some looking into regarding their books. As far as we can tell, their books, as far as the money they receive, relatively clean of federal funds.
Yeah, they don't get like federal grants or anything?
No, they're privately funded.
Yeah. Okay, well, I hope that N-bomb was satisfactory. If not, I guess I'm not going to be an SPLC Nazi millionaire. But Tim has one as well. What's up, my SPLCs? I didn't get any church. I don't get any church trying to pretend they both believe in a perfect God, but also support transgenderism. The whole premise of transgenderism is God made a mistake and is fallible. Well, why follow a God that is flawed? Yeah, well, that's a good point. Hey, man, my quality control up here is pretty good, but I mess up a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting more often. It's getting more frequent, the mess ups.
Yeah, God's quality control was better previously. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all we got for tonight. Anything else you guys want to mention before we're out of here?
I don't
Just
think
one
so.
thing that's been bugging me. Wasn't there a hoax hate like 6 months ago with a black guy who called into a pizza place and he gave his order and then they spelled his name something like Nigger? Am I
There have been
that?
various versions of this type of hoax hate for sure. Like names on receipts is a genre within hoax hate that I don't know about that specifically, but
I think we covered it on the show. I swear.
Maybe.
So he called in his order and the guy got his name wrong and it was like a black guy or something.
I mean, for all I know, these people call in and they say my name is the N-word just to get it written on the receipt.
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
my
at
name
this
is Nick Gurr, and then
at this point, I'm convinced that I'm convinced that this Jamal guy actually said his name was Chimona just so he could do.
Why
this
would he
whole
pick
thing.
that weird slur though?
Because it doesn't exist as a slur.
He just made it up. Like he heard
no
it somewhere.
idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea about any of this.
So he preyed on the Spanish-speaking guy.
Injured Guardian
But
is saying in the chat that you skipped him.
Oh, did I?
No.
I don't know.
But can you Google
it didn't
the
come
word?
through
Does it
for
come
me,
up?
so
Is it-
I can go check on YouTube for you. Let me try a refresh and see if it comes in. I know Injured Guardian's usually on. Yeah, I don't see it in my YouTube feed, but I can go into the YouTube backend and try to find it there. Let's see. Let's see if I can track it down.
While Matt searches Skulldugger, is if you like Google search that word, does it come up as being a slur in Spanish, or can no one find that this is in fact a slur in Spanish? Like,
No,
is it just not used, or is it
AIs.
not? Really? Okay, so it's just
it is not
completely
a known.
fabricated.
It is not a known slur to the internet.
Okay. I thought it was just like not used in common parlance among the Spanish-speaking people, but it was a thing.
And that too.
So it's neither.
Like, even if the internet said so, even if like Google's AI comes back and says, yeah, it is known to be a slur, but it's not known to anybody who speaks the language. Then I don't care what Google says.
How's anyone taking this seriously at all? It's not. I thought it was just like obscure.
No, it's non-existent.
He says it's an obscure thing, but yeah, I've seen nobody outside of him who grants the premise.
Language scholar on obscure Spanish.
But they did.
Monkeys.
The business did fire the employee and suspend the manager or the. I don't know how an owner gets suspended, but that's what maybe like a franchise owner.
It might have been a franchise owner.
Yeah. Anyway. All right, Injured Guardian, I don't see the chat, so I apologize for leaving you hanging, but I just don't see it there. So
why don't you post it wherever you just wrote Matt that he missed it?
He says you read Joshy's super chat.
Yeah.
That was right before mine, and then went on to. So
yeah, I just don't have it. It's not here. So it's not on YouTube. It's not in my feed that aggregates them all. So I just got to leave it there, unfortunately.
We love you.
Right.
You're very special.
Sorry about that.
Tim just hopped into the
I don't know if you can get the Discord to unmute, Matt, but the Injured Guardian one, Ninja Kitty accidentally deleted it. And I don't know if there's any way to undelete it.
Probably not.
So I just clarified with him. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, there's no way I can recover the text then. And Injured Guardian, if you want a refund on that, if you can just tell me what you sent, I will be happy to arrange a refund for that. Sorry about the confusion.
Or alternatively, someone said if he retypes, sorry, hit mute. If he retypes in the chat, and maybe it can be read from there as another option. But yeah,
we will square up with Injured Guardian after the stream. Sorry about the confusion, but thank you, Tim. Appreciate it.
I saw the message before, and I tried to undo it, but I think it can only be done by the person that muted it. I think. I could be wrong on that.
All right.
Bad kitty. All
right. Good day, Tim. Thank you for the help.
Thank you. Yeah, you guys have a good one too.
All right, we will leave it there. Appreciate everybody's participation this evening. If you are a live chatter, a live viewer, thank you for your help with the live production. If you're listening on demand later, thank you kindly as well for supporting the show. Thanks to our callers, emailers. Thanks to Skulldugger. Thanks to Mark Aaron for joining. Find Mark's X and YouTube accounts linked in the description. Thanks to producer Tim for his assistance as always. MattChristiansenmedia.com or mattis.gay. I'm back on Sunday. Hope to see you.